Let's see what happens on the final lap of the race. Here comes the field down for the white flag. One more to go. Rudd is inside of Dale Earnhardt as they go into turn number 1, and both of them spin.
And Jeff Bodine takes the lead.
Earnhardt spins along with Ricky Rudd. Here comes Jeff Bodine, who'll come down and win the Holly Farms 400. Bodine wins as both Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd spin on the last lap. And Rusty Wallace is going to finish ahead of Dale Earnhardt.
Wow. Short track racing.
Well, Richard, you had quite a view of that thing. What do you see happen?
He was just racing hard. I could, Ricky got into Dale. Well, I don't know. Y'all seen it too.
Ricky, what happened up there?
Well, I don't know. Dale and I got together. His handling went away after that last restart, and I got on the inside of him. And I felt like he came down on me. I don't know. All I know is we got together. I hated that happened. We were going to have a good run for the victory there.
You guys had a conversation after this was all over. What was said?
I think we were discussing the weather. I believe that talking about it was a pretty warm day out there today.
The reason for all the emotion, had the race ended on the white flag lap, Dale Earnhardt would have the Winston Cup points lead. Instead, as we enter Rockingham, Rusty Wallace has a 37-point lead on Dale, with Mark Martin only 128 behind. Today, live from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, the AC Delco 500 Winston Cup race. Very beautiful day in the sandhills of North Carolina. Temperature 66 degrees. It's rather breezy, but no chance of rain. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to The Rock, Rockingham, North Carolina. Only 3 more races to go in the Winston Cup season for 1989. Last weekend, an emotionally charged race at North Wilkesboro that saw Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt spin on the last lap, allowing Rusty Wallace to maintain the Winston Cup points lead. Let's get more on an update on this situation now as we go to pit road and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you, Bob Jenkins. We're standing by with Dale Earnhardt. And Dale, at the end of last week's race, you had some pretty harsh comments you made about what happened on the last lap.
Well, we were pretty serious about what happened. We wasn't happy with that. But, I said a word or two I shouldn't have said on TV. We had a bad week at Charlotte the week before, and we'd worked real hard. And, we'd led all the race. The car was running good. The guys working hard. We was trying to do everything we could to win. And, to lose it there on the end like that, it was pretty tough situation. So it was just a little upset, and we'd like to apologize for offending anybody's feelings. We shouldn't, say things like that on the TV. But we were upset at Ricky and what happened. But we've let that go past us now. We'll be able to race this week, no problems.
I think it says a lot about Dale Earnhardt as a person to go on national television and apologize for what he said a week ago as far as the words he used. Let's go up to the editor of Stock Car Racing Magazine, Dick Berger, who's standing by with the other principal in that last lap fracas a week ago. Dick?
Well, thanks, Jerry. I'm with Ricky Rudd. Ricky, you've had a week to think about things. You've had a chance to see the tapes on TV. What about it? Was it just a racing accident?
Well, I guess that's, I guess you can call it that. Last lap, NASCAR says anything goes. I was going for the win, and I guess Dale was going to try to protect his lead he had all day, and it's unfortunate we got together. I've got my version. I say Dale came down on me. Dale says I went into him, but regardless, it's over. Neither one of us won. It's a shame. It's behind us the way I look at it. It's a whole new ball game here at Rockingham, and, if it comes down to it again, who knows?
Well, Ricky Rudd's story stays the same as last week. Well, one guy whose story needs to change is Rusty Wallace, who wasn't as competitive as he should have been. He's got to get on the gas, doesn't he, Benny Parsons?
Dick Bergen, one thing that Rusty Wallace has going for him this year is luck. Because in 1988, trying to win the championship, trying to catch Bill Elliott, he won 4 of the last 5 races. And he still couldn't catch Bill Elliott. At North Wilkesboro, he finished 7th. Did not lead a lap, but yet gained on the leader, Dale Earnhardt. But I do agree with you, Dick and Ned. Rush is going to have to run better if he's going to win the championship, isn't he?
I think so. With the competition the way it is today, it's hard to believe that you could run 7th or 8th in a race and still gain on people.
I got myself this far back. I just tried too hard qualifying and turned the car sideways in a qualifying lap, and it really cost me. But I got a long way to go today and a short time to get there. This is a long race, but anything can happen. The Goodyear radial tire seems to be performing real consistent. Although it does have different chassis characteristics you need to work with. We're kind of working that out today. But I hope we do good today. The Kodiak Pontiac is handling and running excellent all through practice, and let's hope.
Western Auto, Mr. John Barlow. Gentlemen, start your engine. We're just moments away from the start of the AC Delco 500 here at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Not a cloud in the sky. The balloons are rising above the speedway, though, as the drivers get set to pull onto the racetrack for 500 miles of competition. NASCAR Winston Cup racing this afternoon from Rockingham, North Carolina, and the AC Delco 500. Now, the last time a race was won from the pole position was here at Rockingham in the spring. It hasn't been done since, and therefore, the Unocal bonus money goes up to $190,000. That's what Alan Kowicki will collect as a bonus if he should win this afternoon. Now let's look closer at the racetrack they call the Rock here at Rockingham. 1.017 miles in length. They call it a double dogleg oval. The pole lap time was 24.634 seconds at a speed of 148.62 miles an hour, banking between 8 and 25 degrees. 492 laps will go, and they'll be able to go about 90 laps between fuel stops. And now here's the starting lineup. Alan Kowicki is the pole sitter in number 7, the Xerox Antifreeze Ford, his 5th pole position of 1989. On the outside of the front row will be Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee, in the number 17 Tide Exxon AC Sparkplug Chevrolet. In the second row, it's Larry Pearson, one of the rookie candidates, number 16, the Chattanooga Chew Buick. Larry is from Spartanburg, South Carolina. On the outside of row number 2, it's Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, the 87 winner here in the number 9 Coors Melling Ford. In row number 3, it's Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina, in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, car number 3. On the outside of row number 3, starting in 6th position, is Gary Cope from Spanaway, Washington. He'll drive the number 10 Purelator Motorsports Pontiac. Going to row number 4 now, it's Mark Martin, currently 3rd in Winston Cup points, in the number 6 Strollite Ford. Mark is from Batesville, Arkansas. Outside of row number 4, Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia, in the Quaker State Buick, car number 26. Starting in 9th position, inside of row number 5, is Ken Schrader from Fenton, Missouri, in the number 25 Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. Starting in 10th position, outside of row number 5, from Columbia, Tennessee, in the number 94 Sunoco Ultra Oldsmobile, is Sterling Marlin. Going to row number 6 now is Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York, in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, car number 5. And then starting in 12th position alongside of Jeff Bodine will be Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina. He's in the number 33 Skull Bandit Food Lions Oldsmobile. In the 7th row, it's Davey Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, driving the Texaco Haviland Ford, car number 28. Outside row number 7 and 14 starting position, the Motorcraft Ford, number 15, the driver from Chemung, New York, Brett Bodine. 15th starting position, inside of row number 8, it's Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas, the Budweiser Ford, number 11. Outside of row number 8, the current leader in the rookie points is Dick Trickle from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, driving the Miller High Life Buick, car number 84. Starting in the 9th row is Jack Pennington in car number 47 and Hut Strickland in 57. The 10th row, Neil Bonnet in 21 and Ernie Irvin in car number 2. And we'll take a look now at the rest of the starting lineup. You'll notice that, as we indicated earlier, Rusty Wallace begins this race from inside row number 11, so not a particularly good starting position for Rusty Wallace, but this is a long race.
Well, it is a very long race, Bob, and was mentioned earlier, he has come from a couple of laps down in the past to win here at Rockingham. If you have a good handling race car, you can do that. The temperature is much higher today than we've had all week. When they came in and qualified on Thursday and Friday, the temperature was in the 50s. It warmed up some yesterday to the high 60s, but the track could be different today, Benny, from what we have seen earlier this week.
It certainly could, because, as you mentioned, it is warmer than it has been all weekend. But fans might wonder why the cars sit on pit road so long after they fire the engines. These cars have to get the engines, the transmission, the gears up to operating temperature, and at 65, 70 degrees, it takes quite a while to do.
Kyle Petty will be carrying one of our in-car cameras, the Peak Race Cam. See the field now moving through corner number 4 on one of the warm-up laps, and we're inside Bill Elliott's car right now. He'll be carrying one of our in-car cameras. You can see that he starting in row number 2, and there's a look at Bill as he gets set for 500 miles of competition. Harry Gant also carries one of our race cams this afternoon in the Skull Bandit. That was just lost the signal from Harry's car. There we have it back. He's behind Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco Ultra Oldsmobile. The number 47 car this afternoon, driven by Jack Pennington. An outstanding performance. He qualified in 17th position after a couple of excellent Busch Grand National efforts. It's Jack Pennington's first Winston Cup race. He's from Augusta, Georgia.
Well, he did finish third at Darlington in a Busch Grand National race that was seen here on ESPN, and fourth at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago, so he certainly has learned asphalt. He's a dirt track racer, but he has learned the asphalt very quickly.
And one of the real surprises in qualifying on Thursday was Larry Pearson. You can see him there inside of row number 2, starting behind our pole sitter, Alan Kowicki. Larry looking for great things this afternoon in the AC Delco 500. It's a sold-out crowd here at Rockingham on the main straightaway as the green flag flies. The race is on. Alan Kowicki leads down the backstretch on lap number 2. That's Darrell Waltrip in number 17, running in second position. Bill Elliott is third. Larry Pearson is fourth, and Dale Earnhardt is looking for fourth position as he goes to the high side of the racetrack in an effort to pass Larry Pearson. Mark Martin, number 6, is right behind. And the new leader is Darrell Waltrip as he slips by Alan Kowicki going into turn 1.
Hey, that's not what Walter's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be laying back. What's he doing up there charging for the lead, Ned?
Well, I'll tell you, his car was running awfully fast. He thought he had a good shot at the pole, but Kowicki just barely beat him out. And I think he wants to show everyone that he does have the car that can run fast here at Rockingham. And maybe he's going to drive a different kind of a race here, Benny. Be a little more aggressive than normal.
Saw Bill Elliott's car there for a moment as you saw him trailing Alan Kowicki and the leader, Darrell Waltrip. Bill Elliott in third position.
Bill Elliott seems to be getting through this corner awfully well. Last time, tried to get underneath Alan Kowicki, but this time can't quite make it.
And here is the replay of how Darrell Waltrip was in second position, but look back in fourth position, Dale Earnhardt getting the fourth position from Larry Pearson.
Looks like Waltrip simply out-horsepowered Kowicki down the straightaway. Kowicki went a little high coming off of turn 4. Waltrip got up beside of him and just out-horsepowered him into turn 1.
So that's the way they run. It's Darrell Waltrip, Alan Kowicki, Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt. Mark Martin back in fifth position. Sixth is Larry Pearson. Seventh is Ricky Rudd. And eighth is Ken Schrader. Ninth is Derek Cope. And 10th is Sterling Marlin. 11th, Davey Allison. There is Cope, Marlin, and Allison.
Sterling Marlin runs very well on this racetrack. He's driving the blue Sunoco number 94. Davey Allison right on his tail as they come off the turn 4. But some of Marlin's best runs have been here on this speedway.
There we see Earnhardt trying to go by Bill Elliott, trying to get position down the back. Looks like he might have him.
Earnhardt into turn number 3 down on the low side of the racetrack, looking for third position over Bill Elliott, and he has got it.
Well, here's Kowicki now moving back into the lead, moving around with Darrell Waltrip. But he goes high, and Waltrip comes back to the inside, but Kowicki will hold the position.
Bill Elliott now back in fourth spot. Back in the pack for ninth position, Derek Cope, Sterling Marlin, and Davey Allison. And Mark Martin now trying to take the position away from Bill Elliott as he pulls alongside into turn number 3. And meanwhile up front, a tremendous 3-car battle. Here comes Darrell Waltrip back on the inside of Alan Kowicki, and now Dale Earnhardt is right there in the mix. As they cross the stripe, they're virtually side by side as Darrell Waltrip is on the inside and Alan Kowicki on the outside, and Earnhardt looking to make it 3 wide.
No, now come on, Earnhardt, surely you're not going to do that.
He wants to get up there so he can get 5 bonus points by leading this race, but I agree with you, Benny. He doesn't want to do it that way, but it looks like his car is handling well enough he can go just about anywhere he wants to.
Earnhardt has second, looking for the battle back there in fourth position as Mark Martin to the inside of Bill Elliott. Boy, some great racing up front here in the early going. There goes Mark Martin past Bill Elliott into fourth.
And look how high Earnhardt went in. I think that was by design. He was just driving up there to see if there was a groove up there that might work better, but it didn't work good for him that time. He lost a lot of time on Darrell Waltrip.
Bill Elliott's running a little bit higher than most of the other cars. You see Mark Martin right on the bottom of the racetrack. Elliott up one lane.
While all this exciting action is going on up front, in the middle of the pack, Rusty Wallace has moved from 21st starting position to 14th. There is Jack Pennington, and we understand that car got into the wall in turn number 2 just a lap ago, but nothing appears to be damaged on the race car. And there is a replay of the car coming down off the banking after a slight encounter with the wall there in turn number 2. Now Ricky Rudd moves in to challenge Bill Elliott for position. This is for 5th.
You see the large black tire mark on Bill Elliott's car where he's made contact with one of the other cars. Ooh, he and Ricky Rudd awfully close going in turn 3. Rudd looks like has the position.
There is Rusty Wallace. He's moved from 21st to 14th in the first 13 laps.
Yeah, he's certainly not losing any ground to the leaders as far as the distance that he's behind them.
And there you can see the distance that he is behind. Quite an interval as Waltrip comes down to complete lap number 14 as the leader of the race. Waltrip is the leader here at Rockingham in the AC Delco 500, and we'll be back with more of our live coverage after this. For the AC Delco 500 Winston Cup race, Darrell Waltrip leads. Dale Earnhardt is in second position. In third is Mark Martin. Fourth here is number 7, Alan Kowicki, and Ricky Rudd.
And Rudd is trying desperately to take that position away. Alan Kowicki, a pole sitter, the man with a chance to pick up a bonus of $190,000 if he can win. If he finishes second, he doesn't get a dime extra.
And it'll go up another $7,600 for the race 2 weekends from now in Phoenix, Arizona. And then if nobody wins it by the final race of the year in Atlanta, the amount will be doubled by the racetrack. And what a purse they'll be running for in that event.
Someone said yesterday, wonder if Dick Beatty and his NASCAR inspection crew could catch up with all the tricks that they might pull in trying to get the pole in Atlanta if that happens.
Let's go down to Jerry Punch. Now, we mentioned, or at least Rusty Wallace referred to the fact that they're running radials here at North Carolina for the very first time. Let's get more on that from Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, the radials, no doubt, are much quicker than the bi-ply tires I've run here in the past, but they have 2 problems with the radial tire. One, after about 15 to 20 laps, the tires really begin to slow down. And that's when the crews on pit road are really going to have to begin to work jacking wedge in the car and getting the cars all tightened up. The second problem is Goodyear does not have enough tires really to meet everyone's needs. Now, most crews got between 4 to 10 sets of tires. Some crews bought the tires from other crews. Some of the higher finance crews maybe have 10 or 12 sets. A lot of crews only have 4 or 5 sets. The cupboards are bare here back at Goodyear. There are no more tires to be bought. So when someone falls out, it's going to be a bidding war like what we saw last year here to get the extra tire. Let's go up to Dick Bergman.
Well, Jerry, one of the things that's going to make that situation a little bit more difficult is they learned last week at North Wilkesboro, and they've learned here in practice, that brand new tires like these, the new radials, are much faster than tires that have been run on before. So ordinarily, they can save tires for a while. Not here today. The other factor that's important to realize in the tire shortage is that everybody is running for points. The point money stops in position 20, and everybody that's looking for 20 and up, and that's almost this whole field, we're going to try to run all day. So tires may emerge as a major story.
Well, if we don't have one between now and then, somewhere between 60 and 80 laps, there will be a mandatory caution flag displayed by NASCAR so that the crews can come in and check their radial tires. That announcement made in the drivers' meeting this morning.
And I think that's a very good idea because as we've talked about, this is the first time we've used a radial tire here. No one really knows what's going to happen to these tires.
Darrell Waltrip leads. Dale Earnhardt is second. There is Mark Martin in third position in the number 6 Strollite Ford. Look at Earnhardt using the high side of the racetrack. He's up there already. You don't normally see that until much later in the race.
Exactly, and we see Earnhardt up there now, and I would not be surprised to see Earnhardt the last 100 laps of the race down on the bottom of the racetrack. This groove is going to change all day. Look how high he's going. It's going to change all day. Sometimes you'll run on the bottom, sometimes you'll run on the top. It just depends on what it feels like to the driver.
I think he's trying to see if there is a little newer pavement up there. Now, one thing that will do, though, is wear his tires out a little quicker. But there is a driver pavement.
Here we see our leader, Darrell Waltrip.
Trouble over on the backstretch. A car has spun.
The number 53 car of Jerry O'Neill from Auburn, New York, has spun on the backstretch. The car on the inside of the track just off of turn number 2.
And Dale Earnhardt is going to try to win the race back to the line, so he'll get 5 bonus points for leading this race.
Here comes the caution flag being displayed by the NASCAR officials, and indeed Dale Earnhardt is going to lead Darrell Waltrip across the line, so Dale picks up the very valuable 5 bonus Winston Cup points. Here's a replay of the accident on turn number 2.
He just simply lost the back end coming off the corner, spins around, and he's lucky the car didn't drift up the racetrack in front of traffic, but instead came down next to the inside guardrail. You noticed, here's the pit flag, man, that says that the pits are closed. The cars cannot come into the pits until a pace car goes on the racetrack. At the beginning of the show, we mentioned that the straightaways were banked 8 degrees. One reason for that is so the cars will come down against the inside guardrail instead of staying in the middle of the racetrack.
And there you can see the green now is out, and the cars will come on to the pit area, and we have the front pit on the left of your screen and the back pit on the right. Now, what's the significance here, guys?
I'm going to show you what the advantage is for the front pit. See, now all these guys are coming in the pits. All the fellows who's pitting in the back are not, they have to follow the pace car, and the pace car is running about 60 miles an hour. So all these fellas, now Earnhardt has already changed 2 right sides. The jack is going around to the left side. There's Ricky Rutt, already's got the jack on the left side. Darrell Waltrip changing left side tires. Meanwhile, no one has went to the back pit yet. There's nobody back there yet.
Now, these guys on the front are going to have their service completed before they start in. You can see already going out of the pits, they have their service completed, and now they're just beginning to come into the back pits.
And now we're going to see exactly the opposite as the front pits become vacant and the back pits become very active.
There's Jack Pennington, Rick Wilson. You know, it's just all these fellows get their pit stop now. The fellows on the back, the last 15 spots on the back straightaway have to start behind of the first 25 cars on the front.
So our first caution period is out on North Carolina Motor Speedway because of a spin involving Jerry O'Neill. We'll be back with more of our live coverage after these messages. Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham with 28 laps completed and under caution because of a spin on the backstretch involving Jerry O'Neill. Now let's go back and show you the race down pit road just a few minutes ago.
Look at these cars trying desperately to get, they accelerate to get position to get to their pits first so that their crew can start working on, so they can leave earlier than their competitors.
Dale Earnhardt, of course, moving in for his pit stop. He's pitted at the very end of the front stretch, and we did have an injury to one of Phil Parsons' crew members as Phil got service.
There we see him. We're changing the tires.
The Crisco crew seems to be...
That's probably the fellow that's carrying the tires. I would imagine he's went around and a car has hit him while he was carrying the tires around. That may not be correct, but...
Well, the ambulance is right there. We did see, however, him get up and walk to the ambulance, obviously in pain, but we certainly hope that the injury not serious to that Phil Parsons crewman injured during the first set of pit stops here at Rockingham. We're live for the AC Delco 500. Once again at Rockingham, but first a report on how the tires wore during those first 28 laps, Jerry.
Well, Bob, the report card is it's a good one for Goodyear. Goodyear engineers here checking the tires that came off the Darrell Waltrip car. These tires come brand new with 4.5 30-seconds of rubber. Their prediction, by looking at the wear here, that they're going to use only 1 30-second of rubber per 100 laps. The tires may slow down, but they're not going to wear out. Apparently, Goodyear has done their homework.
4.5 30-second. You wonder, what does that mean? The tires that you have on your street car has about 13 30-seconds. So the race car tires are about 2/3 wore out, brand new.
There you can see the top 10 with 31 of the 492 laps completed. And the green flag comes out once again with Jim Sauter and Bob Tullius' car number 44 in the lead. But the first two cars, Bob Tullius and Jimmy Bound, number 34, they did not pit.
Ooh, Earnhardt almost got squeezed up against the wall. Coming off turn 2, Darrell Waltrip goes by, Larry Pearson goes by.
Yeah, he was trying to move up there and move around Jim Bound in the car number 34, and he was 3 abreast and just almost got into the wall.
That was very, very close.
That was a close call for Earnhardt. Now he's able to pass Larry Pearson and accelerates and tries to pick up the positions that he lost during that little incident. Look at him go. He is really on the move. Sauter trying to hold off Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt. Let's go down to Dick Berggren, who can update us on the injury to Phil's crewman.
Well, Bob Jenkins, the injured crewman is named Tony Lambert, and I've talked to several people here from the team, and they say they think he was struck by a tire. It appears to be a foot or a leg injury. Nothing terribly serious, at least by preliminary reports. A crash on the Speedway.
A lot of close action, but no crash that we're aware of. Bernie Urban's car is smoking quite badly. The number 2 machine to the inside of the racetrack.
Jim Bound, he made some contact with Jim Bound. Terry Labonte, and here we got a replay where Terry Labonte and Davey Allison forced Jim Bound 3 wide going in turn 3. He goes up loose, and now watch our point leader, Rusty Wallace. Watch this, folks. Ooh, and we see Ernie Irvan come along and make some contact.
And that's how championships are won and lost. Now, here is Dale Earnhardt, who would very much like to win a 4th Winston Cup championship, battling for the lead with Darrell Waltrip. A spin up in turn number 2, car against the wall.
Bud Strickland is spun, and the caution flag is out.
Here's the race back to the flag. Earnhardt got him by just a bumper.
Now, wait. You sure?
Yeah, he did.
Well, it was close.
Strickland's car, meanwhile, is moving once again, so this should be a short caution period, and the number 2 car of Ernie Irvan has been black flagged. There's Strickland, whose Heinz 57 machine is headed in the correct direction once again. As he tries to catch back up with the field, but he did spin over in turn number 2, and here's the replay.
There we see him back in the wall, and the left front comes around, makes some pretty good contact. Now he stays up high. Luckily, the fellows chose to go low. He stayed up high. Ooh, Charlie Baker squeezes by on the high side.
So the caution flag is out for the 2nd time this afternoon in the first 38 laps. The AC Delco 500 live from North Carolina Motor Speedway. Here in the AC Delco 500. Now, we mentioned Dale Earnhardt's unusually high line for this early in the race. Jerry, what's going on?
Well, Bob, let's check in with Carlin and Richard Childers, who's talking to Dale right now. Richard, we talked about Dale running up so high on the racetrack. Why is he doing that?
Well, we're just trying to save the tires. It's a little easier on the tires, we think, when you're running kind of through the center. If you drive down there, you got to pinch your car getting in and pinch it getting up off, too. So we're just trying to find a good, comfortable place to run. He says it feels like it's a little better on the tires up there.
Dale Earnhardt trying to conserve the tires here early on at Rockingham. Let's go up to Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, Jerry, Ernie Irvan came in and made a pit stop, and the thing he did to conserve his tires was he had Bob Johnson pull the car out of the left front tire. There was a little bit of structural damage to the left front fender, but that was all. Hutch Strickland has also been in and made some repairs. Nothing major on either automobile. That's good. Both these guys have been running very, very well of late.
There's Irvan back out on the racetrack. Now we can update the injury to Phil Parsons' crew member Tony Lambert. He did suffer a broken right foot in that incident on the backstretch, but thankfully nothing more serious than that. We will go at least one more lap and probably more than that before we go back to racing here in the AC Delco 500. And here are the top 10. Moved into turn number 1 as you rejoin us on lap number 42. And the leader is Dale Earnhardt. And that GM Goodwrench Chevrolet is moving. Darrell Waltrip is second at the moment of the number 17 Tide car on the high side there of Jack Pennington.
About like he did at North Wilkesboro last week. Just a dominant car. There's a shot from Harry Gant, Skull Bandit.
That's the view Harry has.
He follows Alan Kowicki. Kowicki down on the inside trying to make up some ground.
That's the battle for third that we're looking at. Jim Sauter, number 44, just lost third position to Mark Martin. Ricky Rudd and Alan Kowicki were also able to get by him.
And now Sauter finds himself back in 7th position as Harry Gant just went around and Gant picked up the 6th position.
Jim Sauter did not make a pit stop in the caution flags we've had, so he's out there on worn tires. These other fellows on better tires, and you can see he's no match for him with his tires that has a few laps on them.
Bill Elliott passes by on the low side of Jim Sauter. Here comes Sterling Marlin, the number 94. And there's the bumper cam on Harry Gant's car.
Well, you can get a feel of how fast they're going down the straightaway when you look at the pavement for that.
Looking back on Bill Elliott. And here's the view that Bill Elliott has of Harry Gant and the bumper cam.
Well, already starting into turn 1. That'll become a bigger problem as the day goes on.
Exactly what I was going to say. When about 3:30, it's going to be almost impossible for these guys to see going in turn 1. As Bob Jenkins mentioned, very clear blue sky, beautiful day in Rockingham, North Carolina. But going in turn 1, later on these fellows will be driving directly into the sun.
I mentioned how fast that pavement was going by on the straightaways. Here in Rockingham, their average speed around the track is 142, 143. During the race, they qualified at 148, but that means they'll run about 165 or so down the straightaway.
Harry Gant is running in 6th position. Here once again is his bumper cam. That's Bill Elliott back there. A good perspective of the speed here at Rockingham. Battle for second shaping up. That's Darrell Waltrip at number 17 and Mark Martin at number 6. Martin closing in on the Chevrolet.
Mark Martin, the young man who won the Observer Cup. You know, the Charlotte, North Carolina newspaper has an award that is given to the driver who wins the most points in all the Carolina races, North and South Carolina races. And Mark Martin already has it clinched, even no matter what happens today in the Rockingham race. He's going to be going to Hawaii.
Boy, wouldn't he like to win his first Winston Cup race here this afternoon.
He really would, because his shop is not that far from here, about 50, 60 miles in Liberty, North Carolina, is where the Stroh's Light team is housed.
Mark Martin in 3rd position at the moment, and he's got Ricky Rudd to contend with. Rudd sneaks up into 4th now. Both of these guys behind Darrell Waltrip and the leader of the race, Dale Earnhardt. Here comes Martin looking to the high side now off of corner number 4. How's Rusty Wallace doing?
Well, there we see Earnhardt. Very Gant. Oh, there's Rusty about a straightaway behind Earnhardt.
Behind Davey Allison. He's in 12th position at the moment. Rusty Wallace in 12th. And here's a pass for second as Mark Martin takes over the second spot. Here comes Ricky Rudd to take over 3rd position, and Darrell Waltrip trying to hang on desperately. They cross the line, and Rudd is going to be able to go into 3rd, and Waltrip is back to 4th.
Now that's the Waltrip I know, that when those guys get up racing, he falls in behind them and says, hey guys, I want to win this thing, not race you the first 100 miles.
As you mentioned, Mark Martin set now for a trip to Hawaii because of his winning of the Charlotte Observer Cup. And a little bit earlier in the weekend, we had a chance to to ask him if he was excited about taking that trip to Hawaii.
Vinny, I'm really excited about it. We have been married 5 years, and we never went on a honeymoon, and we haven't taken a vacation in those 5 years. And obviously, for 5 years before that, I'd done nothing but race. So it's going to be quite an experience for me. That's an awful long time to be away from our race cars, and I'm sure I'll be homesick by the time it's over, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
The weeds he's talking about is his wife, Arlene. They've been married 5 years and still haven't had a honeymoon, and what a better place than Hawaii.
I don't think I'd miss my race cars if I were with my wife in Hawaii. Harry Gant now has closed in on Alan Kowicki and Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip's car is going away, just absolutely going away. Something's wrong with it. I don't know exactly what, but he certainly doesn't have the speed he had earlier, just a few laps ago.
He drifts up on the high side of the racetrack, and here comes Harry Gant.
We have a report that Darrell Waltrip's car is a little too tight. It's not wanting to turn in the center of the corner, and you can see it going up as he comes off of the turn as Harry Gant moves down to the inside of it.
It can go away that quick on you.
With the radials, that's what the fellows are saying, that the car can be okay one lap and just go away the next lap. Dick Bergman, do you know what's going on?
No, but I'm going to ask somebody who does. This is Jeff Hammond, who's crew chief for Darrell Waltrip. What's going on with your car, Jeff?
Well, we changed tires the last time in, and this particular set of tires, we got a little bit of push in the car. We didn't make any chassis adjustments, so we noticed the tires and the racetrack's changing a little bit. So, you know, next time in, we'll make a little bit of a chassis adjustment.
I wouldn't worry about these guys at all, fellas, because one of the best-known tire people around here said these guys have got the handle on the tires better than anybody. So long race, you can adjust it some more.
Oh, yeah, we got a long ways to go, and we're just trying to, you know, be, you know, conservative to a certain degree right now. We've already led a few laps, but that's good. We know what's wrong with the car, so we just don't want to get excited. Just kind of pace ourselves, and we'll get another caution later on here. We'll get a chance to work on it, or at our regular stop, we'll come in and make an adjustment.
That sure sounds like an interview we did at Martinsville Speedway where you won.
Darrell Waltrip has fallen back to 6th position. Waltrip has won 4 times at this racetrack. He has won this particular event 3 times in 81, 82, and 85. And Mark Martin is chasing down Dale Earnhardt for the lead.
Yes, he is. He is gaining every lap. He's moved right up on his back bumper.
I talked to Mark Martin and Steve Neal this morning down in the garage area, asked him, how's the car running? You know what the reply was? I don't know. They really didn't know how the car was going to react because there's no way to simulate 50, 60 laps into the race. Here's looking out the back window, Bill Elliott's car. That's Rusty Wallace in the Kodiak Pontiac. Also Ken Schrader below Rusty.
Wallace in the number 27 and Ken Schrader in the 25. Up front, it's still about 2 car lengths separating Dale Earnhardt from Mark Martin, with 60 laps completed in the 492 lap AC Delco 500. Martin sliding coming off the 4th corner, has it almost sideways, tried to take the lead away from Dale Earnhardt and couldn't get the job done. We'll continue to watch this battle and take a commercial break. If anything happens, we'll show it to you here at Rockingham. The start-finish line, Mark Martin tried to get it from Dale Earnhardt, and I don't think that he did, as Earnhardt continues to hold on for the lead. And I think they were racing because Jimmy Spencer looped it down in turn number 4, I believe, but it did not bring out a caution period, and so the race continues. But there's Spencer in the number 88 car, and here is Martin once again trying for the lead.
He can drive under Earnhardt on the bottom of the racetrack, but when he does that, as Richard Childress mentioned a moment ago, they clamp the car on the bottom of the racetrack, and it just doesn't have the power to get up off the corner.
There's Jimmy Spencer spinning off of corner number 4, and the car went to the inside of the racetrack down on the apron. The entrance to the pit area was not in harm's way, so no caution came out, and Spencer pulled away right away. So the race goes on, and it's Earnhardt leading Mark Martin.
You know, when we see Earnhardt running on the top of the racetrack like that, now what about a driver who's on the other straightaway and can't see Earnhardt to realize that he's up there and making good time? That's what spotters are used for. These fellows have high positions where they can see the entire racetrack, and they're telling their driver, hey, Earnhardt's on the top of the racetrack just blowing people away. Go up there and you try it. The drivers have tried it. Some of them like it. Some of them don't. Meanwhile, Darrell Waltrip still easing on to the back.
And Rusty Wallace easing on towards the front as he makes the pass on Darrell Waltrip. That moves him into 7th position. Wasn't too long ago that he was running 12th. So Rusty Wallace, who started 21st today, now up to 2nd. And he told us in the interview he had with Jerry Punch that his car was working well, and it does look like it is indeed working very well.
Battle up front is continuing. Mark Martin still trying to take the lead away from Dale Earnhardt, but has not been able to do so yet. Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who's with the crew chief on this car.
Well, Benny Parsons said he talked to you before the race. You weren't really sure what the car was going to do, maybe 60 or 70 laps into it. You got to be pleased with what you're seeing, Steve.
Well, we're a little bit too tight to run fast right now. We're fortunate enough we can run up front. We're anxious for the race to run a long way under the green. We think we have a better long setup than we do for a little short spurt.
They're pretty anxious to have the car run a long time under green. This is the same car they ran in Charlotte. And you know what happened in Charlotte? They were the dominant car. Just happened to blister a tire with 15 laps to go. They ended up finishing 3rd. But this car wants to go to victory lane, and it has a shot today.
Now the leaders now are working through some traffic, lapping the number 2 car of Ernie Irvin and the number 55 car of Phil Parsons. And with that, those cars now down a lap. There are 28 cars that are on the lead lap. A little bit of separation now between Earnhardt and Mark Martin.
Working the traffic the way that Dale Earnhardt is driving is to his advantage, because he's driving up there where nobody else is. Now we see Morgan Shepherd going up there in car number 75. Here is car number 7 of Alan Kulwicki coming down low. But look, trying to make it 3 abreast going into that turn, and Rusty gets there first.
Wow, that was close. 3 Pontiacs going in the corner, and there's not room for 3 of anything, much less Pontiacs.
Let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch, who's with Barry Dobson, the crew chief on Rusty Wallace's car.
Well, Barry, at the very beginning of the race today, Rusty told us he was starting in the back, but he wasn't going to stay there very long. I believe he was right.
I can't hear a thing you're saying. The car's fine. We put a second set of scuffed tires on it. We're starting to come with new. Some cars that put new on went backwards. We hope that won't happen to us. Tia's doing a good job. Everything's looking good.
Well, Tia is the name of the car that they have given this car, and that is the daughter of Barry Dodson, who happens to be here today watching her first race. She's back here behind him in the pits watching the race, and it's the car they won at Richmond on the radials. Hope they duplicate that feat today.
He's moved all the way up to 5th position at the moment. So Rusty Wallace from 21st finds himself 5th at the end of 73 laps. Just ahead of Rusty is the number 62 car driven by Joe Ruttman from Upland, California, the Baja Lotus Oldsmobile. Wallace is going for 3 consecutive wins here at Rockingham. He won the fall race in 1988, and he won the spring race earlier this year. A lot of smoke outside of turns number 3 and 4. We understand there is a little bit of a crash fire out there. There you can see it burning around a car, it appears.
Is that your car?
Nope, it's not mine. But the action is just as hot on the racetrack as Mark Martin once again pulls alongside Dale Earnhardt.
But I don't believe you'll get him. Earnhardt going high. He'll get a good run off of this turn and shoot down the straightaway a little faster, I think. Yep, comes off into the
Chevy against Ford. Chevrolet's already won the Manufacturers' Championship in Winston Cup competition this year. But here's Martin on the low side in the Stroh's Light Ford, and this time he's going to lead across the line at least.
But there's some traffic up there, and which way are they going to go?
They'll probably work to Earnhardt's advantage. As we said a moment ago, when he catches this traffic, he's running in a groove up there by himself, so they don't bother him. He just drives up there around them.
You basketball fans will fully appreciate that, because he would use those guys for what we call picks, or what you would call picks. Run the competitor in behind you.
Here's Rusty continuing to move up. There you see his progress from 21st at the green flag to 11th at the end of 20 laps. He was 9th at the end of 60, and at the end of 75, he's moved to 5th. Rusty Wallace, the current Winston Cup points leader. Now, Harry Gant is really closing in on Mark Martin. We've got a 3-car battle for the lead about to develop.
Not too long ago, Gant was running behind Ricky Rudd, who was running third. There's Rudd coming into the picture in the green car, but Gant came up and blew him off, and now has run down Earnhardt and Mark Martin. Harry Gant, the winner of the Busch Grand National race here at Rockingham yesterday, that we'll have a taped highlight show of at midnight this Thursday night.
You know, if Ricky Rudd was to pass Harry Gant and Mark Martin and get up and start racing Dale Earnhardt, you think the people in the stands would stand up?
Well, that's one nice thing about Winston Cup racing. There's a lot of emotion on the part of the fans, too, because they have their favorites. And speaking of that, Darrell Waltrip has gone into the lead in the balloting for most favorite driver in Winston Cup competition. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Harry Gant, who is really in the thick of things now, Jerry.
He indeed is, Bob. And before the green flag today, I talked to Gant's crew, Andy Petrie, the crew chief, and Leo Jackson, the car owner, and they were very, very optimistic. The reason being is they think they found something that would keep these tires from giving up so much. They figure if they get a long green flag run, which they are having now, that car will be the quickest thing on the racetrack. And I believe they're right as Gant goes around the outside of Mark Martin and begins to make a move on Earnhardt. So Harry Gant might just have the best day of his career here at Rockingham if things continue. Let's go up the pit road to Dick Berggren.
Jerry, I'm watching Ricky Rudd in the 26 car. He's running very comfortably out there today. The reason I'm so interested in him is he did the tire test here for Goodyear. He ran somewhere between 500 and 600 laps on these tires. He's got more experience with them than anybody else. And he's running a very, very nice pace out there this afternoon. Now this, unfortunately, is not the same car that he used, but he sure has plenty of experience with the radials, and he's going to put him to use today before this thing is over. We can be sure.
Harry Gant's got a dilemma because Earnhardt is running exactly the tracks that he wants to run in, and I don't know if he's going to be able to pass him on the inside.
Well, in any case, Harry Gant has moved to second position behind Earnhardt and ahead of Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd. We're live from North Carolina Motor Speedway. So 500. Here's the battle for the lead. Harry Gant on the inside at number 33 and Dale Earnhardt at number 3 in the black car, and Gant has the lead as they go into turn number 1. We've already had 11 lead changes among 5 drivers here in the first 96 laps of this 86 laps of this race. Gant battling to stay in control of this event, but Dale Earnhardt battles back on the outside.
By running that high groove, he has the RPMs of the engine up a little higher as he comes off the turn. Three abreast. They can't do that. Somebody will have to back off going into turn 1. It'll be Mark Martin.
Mark Martin gets off the accelerator and drops back into third position, but Ricky Rudd is right there behind him. This is the shot from Harry Gant's car.
This force of Ricky Rudd might be better off because he is the car that's running on the bottom of the racetrack. Well, he and Mark Martin both. He might be able to make the pass if he can ever get by Mark Martin.
Now, fellas, these 4 cars are running awfully good out there and putting on a whale of a show. But Rusty Wallace, who is running in 5th place, was about 4.5 seconds behind. He's cut it down to 3.5 seconds now, so he's gaining on these guys, even though he's not in a picture, but he will be before too long when he's running the way he is.
Yes, there are other battles going on in the racetrack, but we've got to stay with this lead battle. There is one of them. That's Alan Kowicki, who has his hands full with Darrell Waltrip at the moment as they battle for the 7th spot. There is Davey Allison also coming in to make his presence known, and Ken Schrader.
And Rudd gets by third. And here's Harry Gant trying to get by Earnhardt, going for the lead in turn 3.
2 abreast through corner number 3, all the way through the 22-degree banking. Harry Gant on the inside, and Rudd now in third position is looking at these 2 battle for the lead.
And guess what, Bob? Folks stood up.
Who are they yelling for?
I don't know, but they stood up.
Boy, that is racing at its best.
Rudd is just watching what goes on ahead of him. Once again, we're inside Harry Gant's car. They're momentarily watching, and he's about to lose second position. He does lose second. Rudd has got second.
Well, you know, several of them. Mark Martin tried it down on the inside. Gant tried it down on the inside. It didn't work. Is it going to work for Rudd? Well, I don't know. Right now he's ahead again, but up the side of Earnhardt.
While you watch this tremendous battle for the lead, we'll show you how the entire field is running after 85 laps.
Rudd has to get out of the gas there as they move up on Jack Pennington. So he lost the groove that he was positioned to run in.
And moved him back to third spot, because I tell you, these four cars are so close, and if you just slip a little bit, you're going to lose not one position, but probably three.
Earnhardt just sitting there as cool and calm as he can be. Just sits there and run his groove. Say, you fellas go ahead and run down and race me as hard as you want to. I'm going to run up here and just it's been working for me up to this point. See if it'll keep on working.
Rudd down to the bottom of the racetrack again. Trying to take over second place from here again. Jimmy Spencer is in the mix here too, and number 88. He's a lap down.
Yeah, he's a few laps down. I don't know, at least one. And he's been in the pits and has some better tires than these fellas, so yeah, he's going to blow right by him and get that lap back, it appears.
With those new tires, it really makes a difference. Rusty Wallace now has moved within 2 8/10 seconds off the leader, so he's gaining.
Rusty Wallace back in fifth spot. There's the number 75 car driven by Morgan Shepherd and Michael Waltrip in car number 30. Now, Michael began this race from 26th position and is currently in the top 10.
Yeah, he has a very good run going. Morgan Shepherd started 23rd, so he's up there, I believe, in 8th, and Michael Waltrip in the 9th position.
So two guys who have made some good progress toward the front here in the first fifth of the event.
Bob, for the Dale Jarrett fans, he was making a good run early in the race. He started back in 32nd position, but his car went out of the race. It sounded like he lost a cylinder pretty early in the race, and so we haven't seen the hardest Pontiac out there. I know at least his grandmother that you know, where you hear us mention his name. His mother's here, so his grandmother's watching that.
Waltrip now moves in on Morgan Shepherd for 7th.
And again, we see those two distinct lines.
Oh,
one line and the highlight.
Spin. A couple of cars involved in a crash up in turn number 2.
Right in front of Alan Kowicki. Boy, he had to really get on the binders.
Kowicki just missed. Rudd has the lead. He was able to pass Gannon, Earnhardt, and take the lead. Coming down for the caution flag. The number 53 car, that's Jerry O'Neill involved in a spin on lap number 98. Boy, Alan Kowicki just barely missed as those cars slid down the banking from their encounter up near the wall. Kowicki really had to get on the binders to keep from hitting them. Well, we'll undoubtedly see some pit stops here with the caution flag out once again when the pits are open, and you can see that they are. The green flag is waving there by the NASCAR official who either closes or opens the pits. Here comes nearly all the field down for a pit stop on the main stretch. Let's go to Jerry Punchin Earnhardt's pit.
Dale Earnhardt brings the Goodrich Chevrolet to a halt. Car number 3, Earnhardt on the bottom. The 26 of Ricky Rudd on the top of your screen. Is Larry McReynolds and the rest of that crew going to work on the Kenny Bernstein on Buick. Earnhart's crew now coming around to the left side of the car. That's David Smith who slides the jack beneath the car. Rudd down the left side of your screen. Take a look. Rudd changing tires. Also on the left side tires for Ricky Rudd as well. And Earnhardt's car. Darrell Waltrip in as Earnhardt goes away. Let's go up to Dick Berger in the Waltrip pit.
Right now you're watching the world's fastest pit crew change. The first one to get away on this end of the pit area. Everybody down here took on 4 tires. Everybody.
Well, you're right, Dick. The Darrell Waltrip crew is the fastest pit crew in the world. Look at the action here on the back pits as the action concludes on the front. The momentum switches to the backstretch, and this is a very busy pit road on the backstretch.
15 cars are pitting over there, and it looks like a whole lot of them are in the pits.
And Rusty Wallace now had a good pit stop, and he is positioned on the racetrack in 2nd. That's the way for the AC Delco 500. We'll be right back.
A few weeks ago in Dover, Delaware, Neil Bonnet had a violent impact with the 4th turn wall. The front of his Ford Thunderbird was shortened considerably, and he suffered a fractured sternum or breastbone.
I broke my breastbone, the sternum completely, split it completely in 2. And what was misleading is everybody thought I'd hit the steering wheel. Well, I didn't hit the steering wheel. It's just like somebody takes you on the shoulders from the rear and puts their knee in the middle of your back and pushes forward. It breaks you, just snaps you in two. With those belts as tight as they are, and which we were, need to be like that, they were tight, and my center of my chest actually tried to come out between the center of the two belts. And in turn, we've added new belt to the car now, and I've got a sternum brace, and I'm considering wearing it all the time.
Now, Phil Parsons, having talked to Neil Bonnet this week, also talked with Bill Simpson of Simpson Safety Products, and they've devised something to hopefully prevent that in the future. What it basically is a pad across the sternum here and a buckle. If we'll have a crew member come in and help me buckle in, that will keep both the shoulder straps together across the sternum as one unit. So if you have a violent impact or stop, the entire chest cavity is kept in place, and hopefully you can avoid a future fracture of the breastbone.
So safety innovations as a result of Neil Bonnet's accident. The top 10, Earnhardt, Wallace, Rudd, Gant, and Martin. 6 through 10, Michael Waltrip, Morgan Shepherd, Darrell Waltrip, Davey Allison, and Bill Elliott. We're 101 laps into this event. Rusty Wallace finds himself in second position as we look at the pit stop summary. You can see that he pitted on lap number 98. He came into the pits in 5th position and will restart in 2nd. Now we are under caution because of this incident up between turns 1 and 2.
I think that's Jerry O'Neill that spun, and I believe that's the 25 car of Ken Schrader in there. I know he's made several pit stops. I see Bill Elliott just barely going by.
Alan
bottom of the
Kowicki
racetrack. And
there's Alan Kowicki that you see coming in there. And yes, that is Ken Schrader in car number 25, pushing the 53 around.
Alan Kowicki said, am I a genius or what? Alan Kowicki is the luckiest guy on the face of the earth.
Boy, he was the intelligent driver on that one, going the way he did. Or was it luck? Green out once again. The race resumes on lap 103.
Well, Rusty Wallace was gaining on Dale Earnhardt before the caution came out. Now he's right on his back bumper. Let's see what he can do with him.
Wow, he is going down the back straightaway like a rocket.
Ooh, let's see. He takes a look to the inside going into turn number 3.
That's the lowest line Earnhardt's run all day.
What's he doing down there?
He's blocking Rusty Wallace. He don't even get that 5 bonus points.
Rusty has not led so far today, so does need 5 bonus points. Comparison there between Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace's as far as finishes are concerned in Winston Cup competition. But remember, Rusty has the points lead, and he is now on the defensive. It's Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin who are going to have to unseat him if they're going to win the Winston Cup.
Rusty tried to go high down in 3 and 4, hoping that line would work. He could get by the 3 car, but it did not work.
Whole pack of cars back here with Darrell Waltrip in the middle of them as they battle for position.
Down on the inside, Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd in the car number 75. That's Michael Waltrip in the yellow car number 30, time lemonade car.
Michael Waltrip, Bobby Hillin.
Hillin in the gold and white 8 car. Of course, everybody recognizes the bright colors of Darrell Waltrip in car number 17.
Green Pope spin, turn number 2. This guy's having a tough afternoon. It's Jerry O'Neill once again. I believe that's at least 3 times that he has spun. It is 3 times. There will be no caution. The car is moving once again, and so no caution.
So Earnhardt has changed the line that he's running here to keep Rusty Wallace from moving down to the inside. I'm sure that his crew has told him that Wallace has been running lower on the racetrack and was gaining on him before the caution came out. So you better run down there and protect your position. Of course, the more laps he leads, the better chance he has of leading the most laps in the race, which is another 5 bonus points.
Rusty took a look on the inside of Earnhardt, not able to make it.
They almost touched, and here's Ricky Rudd, the green car number 26. Now, Rusty not only has to drive a little offense, he has to drive defense, too.
There was some contact. Those cars did slow down a little bit coming off the second corner, allowed Ricky Rudd just to close up right on the back bumper of the Rusty Wallace Kodiak Pontiac.
Let's look at it once again and see if we can find the bump, slight contact.
See, Rusty goes high. Rusty gets the nose up there. Then Earnhardt accelerates away. And there they might have touched just a little bit. It didn't amount to much.
Inconclusive. Wallace now coming out of turn number 2 down the backstretch will pull alongside Dale Earnhardt. Let's see what happens as they head into turn number 3 side by side. First and second, Winston Cup points. Here comes Rusty to the inside. Let's see if he leads across the line. If he does, he'll get the 5 points. Ooh, I don't know. It's too close to
I thought Earnhardt had him by just a little bit.
I do too.
Now Earnhardt's got to go back to his high line. Once Rusty got on the inside, and that's exactly what he did. Went back to his high line that he had been running a little bit earlier. And I expect, even though now he's in the lead, that he'll still go up there. Yes, he did. He moved right up there again. He said, I'll just give you that inside. Go ahead and race down there.
You see that white line they just went across? I'm not sure. I've got to find out where they scored the 5 bonus points. I think it might be down in front of the score stand.
Okay, it is. And indeed, Rusty Wallace did lead that lap because at the scoring stand, he was ahead. He was trying to get ahead again.
Yeah, we'll be able to see, once again, they're side by side. We'll be able to see the white line that we're talking about. There's a score stand down, and right there, there's where the leader of the laps are scored. Now, the winner of the race is nationally scored.
There's a yellow on the racetrack because of debris. Let's see what Rusty does. Did the leaders take the caution flag?
I don't think so. I don't believe they got the yellow. Maybe they did. Yeah, they're slowing down there. Evidently, they did get the
pace car is on the racetrack. Elmo, careful there, buddy. You don't get run over.
That's Elmo Lang, the driver of the pace car. Of course, a former race driver himself, so he knows what that's all about.
He's been run over by the best, right?
Yeah.
Lap 113, and the yellow flag is out once again, this time because of debris on the racetrack. We'll be back right after this. Of 492 laps completed in the AC Delco 500 at Rockingham. Dale Earnhardt is the leader, Rusty Wallace second, Ricky Rudd is third, Harry Gant fourth, and Mark Martin is in 5th position. Now, Rusty Wallace is ahead in Winston Cup points by 37, and there are, of course, 3 races to go. He could clinch the title if he finishes second in every race where he's running right now, and if he leads a lap in at least 2 of the 3 races, and he has led a lap today. So, you have a million reasons to be uptight about this race, don't you, Rusty?
I've got a million reasons to be uptight. Lawsuits, contracts, all that stuff, that doesn't have anything to do. Me and Raymond are all re-signed. The lawsuits have been terminated. They've all been resolved and thrown out of court. That's all done. So that's off my mind right now. This racing's on my mind, and understanding why I'm messing up is the biggest thing that I've got to figure out right now.
Well, he wasn't happy with himself as far as the qualifying performance is concerned, but he's looking good right now in 2nd position. And here comes the green flag out for the restart. The only question now remaining over the Rusty Wallace situation for 1990 is who will be the sponsor. He's not ready to announce that yet, but everything is set with Raymond Beadle again for 1990.
He's carrying the body down on the inside. Terry is going to lap down to Budweiser Ford.
Not many of the cars made a pit stop. All the cars stayed on the racetrack, preferring track position to 4 fresh tires.
I think Brett Bodine on the front pit stop in the front pits did make a pit stop in the Budmore Motorcraft Ford, but all the others did stay out there.
Rusty Wallace chasing Dale Earnhardt. About a car length and a half separates them. Meanwhile, back in the pack, here's a group of cars. Well, there's 4 spins for Jerry O'Neill in the first 119 laps.
No caution.
No caution. He's headed toward pit road here on the front stretch. Here's Rusty going to the inside of Dale Earnhardt in turn number 4. They come down, moving very close to each other.
Now that was a dead heat, wasn't it?
It was.
Earnhardt takes that high line, though. Rusty on the low side. Let's see how they come out. If Rusty gives him room, Earnhardt will have the momentum down the backstretch.
You talk about the crowd cheering. There isn't anyone sitting down in this entire speedway as they're watching the two drivers battling for the Winston Cup, two of the three battling for the Winston Cup, go for the lead. And there you can see
Rusty had him that time, Bob, by about a foot, but Earnhardt, look how much he comes back going in turn one.
Having that momentum build up as a result of running high on the racetrack, keeping the RPMs up in the engine, it just gives you a good shot down the straightaway. And as Richard Childress said earlier, you pinch the car down when you go down on the low side of the racetrack.
Ricky Rudd is right there in third position watching the action ahead of him. Again, they're side by side at the line. Here's a replay of the previous lap, and you can get an indication here in slow motion of how close it was. But Rusty did have the lead there at the start finish. Once again, the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet goes high on the track. The Kodiak Pontiac stays low.
This is hilarious watching these guys.
Well, the guy who has the bird's eye view of all this in front of him is Ricky Rudd in number 26. He's watching from third position, and Dick Berggren is with Larry McReynolds.
Well, what's your strategy? Just riding back there to watch, or have you got some more? What are you going to do? He's going to talk right now. When the drivers come by the straightaway is when they ordinarily talk to their crew chief. Now that we'll find out from Larry what he says.
Well, you know, we just set our strategy. We thought we was going to be pretty good today, Dick. You know, we just set our strategy. We raced this racetrack for about 400 laps and then see who was left with about 90 to 100 to go, and that seems to be what's happening to us right now. He said there's an awful lot of people out there that's really missed the chances today, but there's about 4 or 5 that didn't. Watch them out from that scoreboard. Hopefully when we need to go to the future.
Well, the 26 team is very pumped up. One of them just came to me and said, we're going to win this thing. We really are.
Ricky Rudd came close last week of winning the Holly Farms 400, but he and Dale Earnhardt involved in a last lap incident that allowed Jeff Bodine to take the checkered flag, and now Rudd has himself in a competitive position once again. Rusty completes the pass now.
And he's going to move up. Oh, Earnhardt stuck back in on the outside, but Rusty has a position if he'll just move up. Yeah.
And
yes.
Look who's coming up in fourth position. Martin is sneaking in on the front runners, and here's Harry Gant.
Right, we had to force them up there battling for the lead before that last caution, before they made their pit stops. And then Rusty, with the exceptionally good pit stop, came out in second place, so he has now made it to pass them as soon as they get up there. Gant still about 10 car lengths back, but you can see the foursome up in front of him that are battling for position.
Watching from Harry Gant's perspective, and Ricky Rudd tried to take over second position. Number 47 car may have spun or got up high or something, and some smoke from that car, but no yellow. And look at Mark Martin trying to take over third from Dale Earnhardt.
And Rudd has taken second away. So I wonder, is Earnhardt's car not as good as it was earlier, or have these fellas picked up speed?
I would say that's the case, that they have picked up a little bit, Vinny. Earnhardt still running that same line, still running good. But Rusty Wallace, again, we were clocking him unofficially here with our stopwatch, and he was gaining on them before that last pit stop they made. So he was the fastest car on the racetrack.
Boy, it's so interesting to see all those cars go into the corner and every one of them take a different line.
It's amazing. It looks like there could be 4 different grooves around the racetrack.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Ricky Rudd.
You know, Ricky Rudd was actually the driver who did the research and development here for Goodyear on the radial tires back in August. But it was not this race car he brought here. It was an old car. They've got a brand new car here for this race. But they told me before the race they think they may have found something here in testing a couple of weeks ago when they were here testing prior to Wilkesboro that may have helped them. When the track gets awfully slippery, they feel like their car is going to get better and better and better. We might mention that also Harry Gant's crew has figured that out. That they feel like their car is going to get better as the track gets slicker. Let me also update you a little bit on Larry Pearson, who qualified so well early on. He apparently has an overheating problem. And also an update on Dale Jarrett, who had a clutch failure early in the race. He is back in the race some 75 laps down.
All right, Jerry, thank you for the report. And now we go back to the battle up front. 5 cars together. Here's Rudd moving to the inside of Rusty Wallace, trying to take over first position.
He forces Rusty on the high groove.
Tell you what, these fellas are really having some problems passing those cars on the bottom side of the racetrack. Everything is okay at this point, but when they come off the corner, Ricky Rudd needs to let the car go back out against the outside retaining wall. He can't do that when Wallace is there.
Naturally, our priority is to show you the racing up front, and boy, do we have some great racing going on up front. As we indicated earlier, yeah, there are other battles on the racetrack, but it's very difficult to take our eyes off of this battle for the lead, and it is a good one. Ricky Rudd, number 26. Rusty Wallace, 27, first and second. And then Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin are battling side by side, and Harry Gant is in fifth.
Dale Jarrett there just gets down on the low groove, out of their way. He backed off dramatically going into turn one. He saw those cars coming up and running side by side and just moved out of their way.
Just some great racing here in the first 135 laps of the 492-lap AC Delco 500 on this Sunday afternoon from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham is celebrating its 25th year. The first stock car race held here on October 31st, 1965. Today, it's the AC Delco 500 live here on ESPN. Well, it's Pontiac leading in the AC Delco 500 at the moment as Rusty Wallace has taken the Kodiak Pontiac to the front from 21st starting position. The Quaker State Buick of Ricky Rudd runs in second position, and Dale Earnhardt of the Chevrolet is third. Big Hat Mark Martin in the number 6 car is in third position. And look at this. Sterling Marlin, Jeff Bodine, Neil Bonnet, and Rick Wilson are all battling for positions.
There's Lake Speed, the red and white 83 coming in the picture. Also the black and white 55 of Phil Parsons.
Those drivers are running in the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th position. They're still in the lead lap.
Neil Bonnet making a return to Winston Cup racing this weekend after the accident at Dover that we showed you and told you about earlier in our track back. Lake Speed closing in on Neil Bonnet. Bill Parsons right behind Lake Speed.
Rick Wilson looks like he has a problem slowing dramatically going in turn 3. All the fellas go by him. Maybe he's got the car a little bit sideways as he exited turn 2.
That moved him from 18th place back to 20th position. There's Larry Pearson. He's the last car in the lead lap. He's running in 21st place. There are 21 cars now on the lead lap. And that battle continues up front.
They are being led by Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, and there's Mark Martin in third. Martin working the low side of the racetrack while everybody else is working the middle to higher roads.
Because Ricky Rudd has been running on the bottom of the racetrack most of the day, but I see he's moved up a little bit higher than he has been running. Here's Martin trying to get inside Rudd.
Let's go to Dick Berggren with a report on the Mark Martin car with Steve Neal.
We got a pretty exciting race to watch. Can you guys be around at the front of this thing at the end?
We hope so. We had planned to run a little short session. We want to run 75, 80 laps to the lick. That's where the car seems to work the best. Of course, just kind of riding around, seeing what happens out front. Don't want to make a mistake real early.
As Steve Neal, so far they've got 5 seconds, 5 thirds, 6 poles, no wins. So the only car in the top 11 that hasn't won, and they hope today it will be the day that breaks that.
It is amazing that Mark Martin is so close in Winston Cup points, and he's only 128 behind Rusty Wallace, the points leader. And Mark Martin has not won a race this year, and he's never won a Winston Cup event.
Talk about parity. You mentioned a moment ago a Pontiac in first, a Buick in second, a Ford in third. You have an Oldsmobile in fourth and a Chevrolet in fifth.
That's pretty good.
That's the 5 brands that are running in this series.
Exactly.
Ricky Rudd working on Rusty Wallace for the lead. Rudd may have him this time on the low groove.
Well, that's where you need a good spotter that says, move up, Ricky, you got it, you cleared him. But he did not move up, and he still hasn't cleared him.
Yeah, he could have moved up when he came off of turn 2, and Rusty would have had to back off a little bit, but he would have had the position. Now he's in that same position again. I believe he's going to move up there this time.
Yes, indeed. Ricky Rudd goes into the lead, passing Rusty Wallace. So as Rusty Wallace loses one position, Dale Earnhardt is also slipping back. Here's Harry Gant taking away a position from Dale.
Well, that's another thing that Mark Martin and Steve Mill talked about, that a car that was dominant that first 100 laps might not have the handle the next 100 laps. Earnhardt may be in that category.
Now Dale Earnhardt is back in fifth spot, and he's being chased down by the number 75 car driven by Morgan Shepherd as they pass Richard Petty and Jack Pennington.
Haven't heard that much from Shepherd, but this is the kind of a racetrack he likes. He likes the racetrack when it gets slick. It's hot here this afternoon, hotter than it's been all week, perhaps in the mid to high 70s, and the track will get slick. We've seen cars sliding around. That's Morgan Shepherd's hot.
Look, Morgan trying to go on the inside of Earnhardt.
Earnhardt's car looks a little squirrely as he comes off the turn. Of course, Shepherd got a little loose himself.
And a nice progress for Morgan Shepherd, 23rd to 11th to 6th, and a stabilization in 6th spot at the end of 150 circuits.
Trying to change that right now, though. Moving that serial up a little bit.
Looking for 4th position. Let's see if he gets it going into turn number 1.
I believe that would be 5th that he says he moves in around Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt's dropped back to 5th. Ricky Rudd leading, of course, and in 2nd place is Rusty Wallace. 3rd is Mark Martin. 4th, Harry Gant.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Richard Childress. Maybe we can find out what might be the problem with Dale Earnhardt's car.
Well, Dale is having a handling problem. So let Richard Childress tell us what's wrong. Richard, the car is not handling well for Dale. What's the problem?
Well, we put some wedge in it, tried to tighten the car up, and we got him a little too tight in the center right now.
So he's wrestling with the car in the center of the corner. That's why he's dropping back a little bit?
Yeah, we're going to try to fix it next stop.
So Dale Earnhardt has the car a little too tight for his liking. He likes to drive the car on a ragged edge. It's absolutely as loose as a goose out there, and the car too tight to turn in the corner.
I think that's most of the problem. Look, the number 6 car, Mark Martin. Thank you, Bob. I couldn't think of his name. Passed Rusty Wallace for 2nd spot.
Look at the interval that Rudd has opened up, though, on Martin and Wallace.
Yeah, he's moved away. Once he got the lead, he has taken off.
Replay this pass, how Rusty Wallace lost 2nd.
Going down the front straightaway, Mark Martin, as we've seen him many, many times this afternoon, has position on the inside. This time, I guess he carries the car in the corner a little bit harder, moves up the racetrack, and Rusty Wallace did not fight him too hard over the position.
Fellas, I believe that low groove is working better now than it was a little bit earlier in the race. Ricky Rudd running down there, and he is really moving on out.
Well, this is only the 5th time that Ricky Rudd has led this season. The last time he led was at Watkins Glen. We'll be right back.
One of the things that NASCAR does to maintain the stock appearance of the different makes and models of cars is they'll go to the manufacturer and pull a car at random from the production line. Then they will make master templates from that particular car. This is a copy that we made off of NASCAR's master template of the long one that goes from front to back. These others here go across the car, one across the hood, a couple across the roof, one across the back. All of this is done to maintain the specifications of a stock car like you may drive on the street.
But of course, making the car aerodynamic is also very important. Now here are the points leaders and where they're running. Wallace is 3rd, Earnhardt is 6th, and Mark Martin is running in 2nd.
That's right. The race car has to conform to the stock configuration of say, Ricky Rudd leading the race in the Buick. His car does conform to the stock configuration of the Buick. But
yes,
they're going to fudge every little bit they possibly can.
Last week's winner, Jeff Bodine, is about to be lapped. But he was lapped last week and got it back and won the race. It's a little bit more difficult to make up a lap here at Rockingham, although it has certainly been done in the past.
Just ahead of him is Larry Pearson as the next car. Not too long ago, Larry was the last car on the lead lap. Now Jeff Bodine has just been lapped. So now Larry Pearson once again is the last car on the lead lap. So 20 cars now on the lead lap with Larry Pearson running Williams about to be lapped by Ricky Rudd.
And it's been more than 5 years since a Buick won here at Rockingham, but the Quaker State Buick is leading at the moment. Here's the number 42 car of Kyle Petty and the number 2 of Ernie Irvin.
Kyle running in the 13th position. Now Ernie went a lap down when he got involved in, at least one lap down, when he got involved in a little encounter early in the race. But Kyle Petty having a pretty good run here. He started way back in, what, 36th position. So the Pete Antifreeze car is running very well for Kyle.
But Ernie Irvin has certainly been very impressive here in the last few races.
Charlotte, North Wilkesboro, and Martinsville. All those races, Ernie Irvin really, truly had an opportunity to win. I think it is true. His pit crew, probably inexperienced by his pit crew, cost him as much as anything. Certainly not his ability on the racetrack cost him anything.
His career best performance is 6th at Martinsville earlier this year, just a few weekends ago, as a matter of fact. The number 15 car of Brett Bodine is just ahead of Kyle Petty, and also there's the number 10 car driven by Derek Cope. The 25 of Ken Schrader. Can you draft here at Rockingham, and when you're in a position like Kyle is in now, can you catch these guys by using a little bit of the draft?
Very little. The chassis right there. Here's where you catch it, right there. If you're able to get on the throttle wide open and drive that car off this corner and not back off the throttle, you can catch anybody here. But if you have to get in the throttle, ease out of the throttle, or feather the throttle off the corner, you're going to get beat.
Ken Schrader, they're running in the 11th position. He was involved in that accident we saw over there with Jerry O'Neill, and he made a bunch of pit stops, but he got it back up to 11th there as he moves around Derek Cope, and Cope gets loose, very loose, down, almost hits Brett Bodine, maybe did touch him a little bit. Kyle Petty got out of the gas after Pete Antifreeze Pontiac and said, hey, I better slow down here. It's going to be a mess, but they all got straightened out.
Boy, Cope was as close to spinning as you can come, still saving. Here's the side cam on Kyle's car as Derek Cope passes on the right side.
Yep, Kyle trying to pass on the inside, but Cope with that high line seems to be working pretty good for him.
Look at Cope's car, sideways off the second corner. Then he comes down and almost nails Brett Bodine.
And they tell me that the radials, when the car goes sideways, the car's gone. I tell you what, that's probably as far out as we can see a car get and not go completely out of control.
Certainly dispelled that rumor. He did, and do a nice job of saving a side cam on Kyle Petty's car, looking at Derek Cope, number 10.
Derek has good power down the straightaway. Kyle's able to move on the inside, or has been able to in the last few laps. As Cope goes high, Kyle moves down to the inside. But come on the turn, you see the Pure Later Pontiac. Derek Cope move on out of here. Now Derek is not in the lead lap. Car number 10 has been lapped. Kyle Petty is in the lead lap.
Now what
is on 13.
If Ricky Rudd keeps running the way he is, very few cars going to be left in the lead lap. Bill Elliott, who qualified fourth, is just about a half straightaway ahead of Ricky Rudd in the lead lap. Once again, we're looking on the inside from Kyle Petty's Pete Pontiac. Derek Cope, the Pure Later Pontiac up in front of him. This is going down in turn 1.
Kerry Gant is running fourth, and there is Rusty Wallace just ahead.
Of course, the leader is still Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin running second. Rusty Wallace is third. Harry Gant now fourth. And to move in on the third place car of Rusty Wallace. Now, Bob, there are only 16 cars on the lead lap as Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd has moved around Neil Bonnie, who is running 17th. Ricky Speed is running 18th. He's gone a lap down, and so has Rick Wilson, who is running in the 19th position. So,
and the next car that will go a lap down is Bill Elliott.
I think Benny said a moment ago that Elliott was about a half a lap behind him. I think he's been a half a straightaway, and he's even less than that now. Benny's only about maybe a second and a half that Ricky Rudd is coming up and he'll be putting a lap on Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott was one of my picks to win this race.
Watching the battle for position between Rusty Wallace and Harry Gant. Dale Earnhardt is in 6th. All 3 of the Winston Cup points leaders are in the top 10. But neither is leading at the moment, as that distinction is now held by Ricky Rudd, and he is pulling out to a rather comfortable lead over second place Mark Martin.
He's 9 seconds ahead of Dale Earnhardt right now.
So Ricky Rudd leads the AC Delco 500 here at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. We'll be back right after this. Back at Rockingham, there is Ricky Rudd, who was leading the AC Delco 500, but he isn't anymore. And the reason he isn't is because he came in for a pit stop just a few laps ago. The Quaker State Buick needing some service, and so Ricky Rudd brought the car in for a pit stop.
And it was a 4-tire change. Here he comes into the pits now. We see Larry McReynolds and the rest of the crew go to work on the Quaker State Buick.
Now, as that was happening, as Ricky was getting the service on the car, we had a spin over in turn number 2 involving Jim Bound, number 34. And that could have been a disastrous situation for Ricky Rudd had the yellow come out, but it didn't, as Bound was able to get the car headed in the right direction and continue on.
Now, Ricky Rudd is running a lap down right now as a result of his pit stop, but others, Mark Martin and the others, will have a pit stop coming up. And of course, the Quaker State team is just praying that there will not be a caution until all the others have to stop. And here we see Mark Martin putting a lap on Bill Elliott.
So 15 cars, make that 14 cars now, are on the lead lap as Bill Elliott goes a lap down. Let's go down to Dick Berggren, who has a comment on pit strategy. Dick?
Well, Rudd pitted way earlier than anybody else. There's nobody up and down pit road that was ready to pit when those guys came in. Yet McReynolds assured me their only problem was they needed fuel in the car. There was no other problem. They changed 4 tires, however. We'll see what that does for the rest of the team. We now know you can't change 4 tires without losing a lap. Jerry Punch?
Well, we're standing by the Mark Martin pit, Dick. You know, it's Mark Martin, the leader, looking at possibly pitting in about 4 or 5 laps as the 75 car of Morgan Shepherd now makes it on the pit road. Here is Shepherd and the Raymont crew taking on right side tires. Butch Mock, Bob Rahilly, and the crew will change right side tires on the Pontiac of Morgan Shepherd. This Pontiac won here a couple of years ago with Morgan Shepherd with Neil Bonnet aboard. This car has had some good runs. Left side tires now be a 4-tire change. You're pretty well obligated to change all 4 tires because of the radial situation here. Remember what happened last week at Wilkesboro when 2 tires were changed on the Rusty Wallace and the Mark Martin car. Here's Dale Earnhardt making an entry on the pit road in the Goodrich Chevrolet. The crew now going to work. Will Lynch, let's go down to Dick Berggren.
Well, Jerry, this is also going to be a 4-tire change. Realize if everyone changes 4 tires, all this stuff of people going down a lap simply goes away. Everybody will be back on the same lap again. David Smith with the jack around. Kurt Shelmerdine, the left front tires are already loose. Cecil Gordon rolls into him. Everybody else is on the racetrack except Kenny Schrader in this one automobile you're looking at. Dale Earnhardt getting service, and there he goes. Everybody else, however, is due in momentarily.
According to my stopwatch, Earnhardt was in for 23 and 99 of a second. Ricky Rudd was in for about 23.5 seconds, so their pit stops about equal.
Well, watch Morgan Shepherd's exit on the
left the ground, didn't he?
He's charging out of there.
As a matter of fact, there was a driver once that leading the race, exiting the pits, spun the car there and lost the race. That hump down going in turn 1 off pit road.
Michael Waltrip is in for service, and Kyle Petty is also, as we see from the crew cam, or the side cam rather,
on the backstretch. And here's Mark Martin in the pits. Let's go to the pits.
Mark Martin brings the slow line forward to a halt. Robin Pippert and the crew now working on the right side of the car. They will clean the grill off. Remember, a couple of cars overheated here back in the spring because of a lot of rubber and debris in the front grill. Right side tires on the car. They will rush around the left side. Jack Band pumping the left side. Jack, the car goes in the air. Steve Meal has the left rear tire on. Robin Pippert in the left front. They zap the lug nuts on. Clean the windshield. Meal is in for 22.6 seconds, and he's gone.
Good pit stop for Mark Martin as he goes back in competition. Now we have Neil Bonnet and Dick Trickle making pit stops here along the main stretch.
Harry Gant Gant has taken over the lead, but he'll be coming in pretty quickly. Ricky Rudd just passed Harry Gant, so he's gotten back in the lead lap. But here comes Harry Gant into the pits, and Dick Berggren will be there.
Well, Harry Gant manages to be one of the last guys to come in on these things simply because of the way he charges his fuel mileage. A lot of these teams, like Ricky Rudd, use a computer to do it. Gant does. He watches the fuel pressure gauge on the dash of the car. When that thing first wobbles, meaning that it's gone out of gas a little bit, Jerry punches with Rusty Wallace. Jerry?
They have completed the right side tire change. Barry Dotson rushes run to the left side. To the main car, left front tire. John Dotson, left rear. Let's go back to Dick Berggren.
Well, Gant's now getting the left side tires, and he's going to need Rusty Wallace out of the pit area. As we were saying, he actually runs his car out of gas and then he goes 2 more laps before pitting, and then lets him stay on the racetrack longer, and that gives Harry Gant better track condition.
All right, as Harry Gant moves back out into the groove, Darrell Waltrip comes in for a stop, and Alan Kulwicki is also in, along with Jeff Bodine. There you see the action on pit road. Jerry Punch reports. Darrell Waltrip's tied crew that had an outstanding day yesterday and won the overall victory championship going to the left side of the car. Also Alan Kulwicki's crew, the Zero crew. Paul Andrews and them now changing left side tires. Car number 28, Davey Allison making his way down pit road. Waltrip coming off the jacks. Davey will have to get on the line. Hitting Rusty Wallace. Dick Berggren to the Davey Allison pits. Dick?
I'm impressed with Davey's fuel mileage, Jerry Punch. He's about the last one of the strong runners to stay out there and then come in and take tires. And if we have some more green flag situations that are long, like the last one we've been through, that will prove to be a major advantage. 4 tires for absolutely everybody up and down pit road on this yellow flag condition. Davey Allison still in the pit area. They're almost done with the work, and there he goes. 15 is on his way in, and he is the leader at the time.
That, of course, is Brett Bodine as he brings the motorcraft forward. Bud Moore and crew go to work on the right side of that car to change all 4 tires. We might elaborate on this, guys. The fact that last week the driver saw that they do have to change all 4, that 2 radials just don't work.
Nope, you got to have all 4. I heard some of the drivers talking about that down there earlier today before the race started. They said, guys, we can't come in and just put on 2 tires. We got to have 4.
Still working on the Brett Bodine car. Meanwhile, the leader now is Ricky Rudd once again in car number 26.
And Darrell Waltrip trying to get back in the lead lap. He has gone a lap down. His tires are a little bit fresher than Ricky Rudd's because Rudd has run about 10 or so laps on his, and Waltrip does get around Ricky Rudd, so that'll put him back in the lead lap.
Here comes Alan Kulwicki, the pole sitter. He is also a lap down, and he has fresher tires than Ricky Rudd. He needs to get back in the lead lap.
We are in the midst of a very long green period, and we've just had a series of green flag pit stops. We'll be back with our coverage in a moment. Ricky Rudd leads the AC Delco 500 with Mark Martin second, Harry Gant third, Rusty Wallace fourth, and Dale Earnhardt in fifth position. 194 of the 492 laps have been completed. Everybody has had fresh tires put on the car. We've just had some green flag pit stops, and the race resumes now. There is Rudd, the car on the extreme right part of your screen, as he tries to put a lap on Dave Marcus, and just ahead is Davey Allison.
Davey Allison running in 10th position, so that there are now only 10 cars in the lead lap.
You know, these cars, Ricky Rudd has a dominant car, and before these drivers would use stagger. When they make a pit stop and change 4 tires, they would change the stagger on the car and therefore could change the chassis. But the radials, guys, are the same size. So you therefore cannot change the stagger. As we're looking from inside Bill Elliott's car, in-car camera, and we asked Bill Elliott, does it make a difference in changing when you have a radial tire and not being able to change the stagger? What about that, Bill?
You know, you got to get it close, and a lot of times you don't change tire stagger during a race anyway, so that's one concept you don't have to worry about. But there again, if you are off, then that's one thing that you can't change to help your problem or try to fix the problem. It's going to be an interesting race, I'll put it that way.
Well, Elliott certainly has struggled here in the early part of this race. He has gone a lap down, but certainly if anyone can find the chassis combination most of the time with radial tires, it would be Bill Elliott. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
We might amplify this a little bit on that stagger situation. You know, in the past, if you come in and change 2 tires, Ben, if
Parsons. You know, we've seen many crews that would change only 2 tires and make a major chassis adjustment with the stagger on the cars. Well, as you said, these tires have little to no stagger. In fact, what Phil Homer of Goodyear told us a little bit ago was that they have built in 1/2 inch of stagger between the left and right side of the tires. The crews have asked for that to give a little bit of help with the chassis of the car, but they cannot play with stagger like they used to could at the old bias ply tires that had as much as maybe an inch or an inch and a quarter difference in circumference. These tires are very consistent, only 1/2 inch across the left and right side.
Well, the radial tires have been experimented with a few times this year, but we don't believe they're going to be used the rest of the year. Of course, only 2 races to go in Phoenix and in Atlanta, but Goodyear certainly does hope to use them extensively in 1990. We'll show you the cars that are out of competition as we watch the leader, Ricky Rudd, leading the number 6 car of Mark Martin, Harry Gant, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt. And there are Alan Kowicki at number 7 and Davey Allison in number 28 as they battle for 9th spot.
They need to get in line because Ricky Rudd, the leader, is just behind those fellas. And if they don't get in line, he's going to come up and lap them pretty quick. Now, they are in line now. Davey Allison in front of Alan Kowicki. Ricky Rudd, that Quaker State Buick, running extremely strong here this afternoon. It looks like that 750 miles of tire testing he did on these tires here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway was an advantage to him.
He's about 4.5 seconds ahead of Mark Martin right now, who is running in 2nd place.
Alan Kowicki, of course, the only driver eligible for the $190,000 in bonus money from Unocal, the pole sitter. If he could win this race, he would take home that amount of money in bonus. But they certainly would need going to have a caution pretty soon if they're going to keep from getting lapped by Ricky Rudd.
Well, we saw just after they made their pit stops that Alan Kowicki did come up and pass Ricky Rudd and has pulled out some 3 seconds ahead of him. And that was as a result of his tires being about 10 laps fresher. Now, if they go green for a long period again and they make green flag pit stops, that will eventually work to Rudd's advantage maybe, but it would be good for these drivers who are about 3 seconds.
Car in the wall. Morgan Shepherd's in the wall up in turn 2.
Scraping against the outside wall in turn number 2 is Morgan Shepherd, and the caution flag is out, and Rudd has taken the caution. Meanwhile, Morgan's car has stopped against the wall at the exit of turn number 2, just below one of our ESPN banners.
Morgan was running in the 6th position in the Valvoline Pontiac before he had this mishap.
Tough break for Morgan. Let's see. Can we see him moving around?
There's the yellow that we talked about that will benefit Alan Kowicki and Davey Allison. You can see some movement inside the car number 75, so Morgan apparently okay. He's telling his crewmen that something let go in the rear end of that car.
We're going to see all the cars making pit stops again. Here's Ricky Rudd coming down pit road, the first car on pit road. Dick Bergeron is in the Ricky Rudd pick. Dick?
Well, Benny Parsons, if you're a real aficionado of auto racing, take a look at the guy changing the right front tire. His name is Banjo Grimm, and when Mark Martin was first making a name for himself in automobile racing, Mark Martin is also in. Banjo and Mark Martin were the 2 that made it happen. They roared to ASA championships, and here they are now in Winston Cup racing. You're also looking at Mark Martin. His is car number 6, and Jerry Punches for the 33. Gant. Jerry?
Charlie Presley and the crew of Harry Gant now have changed right side tires and moved around the left side. Presley whips the jack beneath the car. Gant is away. Light side 4 tires also for Dale Earnhardt as Mark Martin is gone. And here.
And fellas, once again.
Car number 7 of Alan Kowicki and Darrell Waltrip, the car number 17, have also been in for 4 tire change. A break for those drivers being able to get their lap back with this caution flag. Bob?
Well, Jerry, once again, Rusty Wallace, his crew has put him back out in great position. He beat several of those that he was running behind. He's ahead of Earnhardt. Of course, he was already ahead of Earnhardt on the racetrack, but he's now ahead of Harry Gant and Mark Martin. So he moves up behind Ricky Rudd, so he should be in 2nd place now, once again, as a result of good pit work.
We've mentioned a couple of times that Darrell Waltrip's crew won the Unocal pit crew race yesterday. Lake Speed's crew finished 2nd. Terry Labonte's crew was 3rd. Bill Elliott's crew was 4th, and Richard Petty's crew was 5th. Speed World today at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. And not too far from Rockingham is the big city of Ellerbe, North Carolina. And the most famous resident of Ellerbe, North Carolina is Benny Parsons, who of course has had his Hat of the Week feature on each of our Winston Cup telecasts. A hat change in a race car as Neil Bonnet called for a new helmet as he apparently was uncomfortable in the one that he was in. What about that, Jerry Punch?
Indeed he did. This is the helmet that Neil Bonnet was wearing. He has a brand new set of earplugs in, and this helmet was just almost too small. It felt like his head was about to come off. It was throbbing, pushing it on the earplugs, so he came in. They pulled off the old Simpson helmet, put on one about a size bigger, and now Neil, the driver, more comfortable. We're back to green.
Indeed we are, with Ricky Rudd leading, Rusty Wallace in second position, and Dale Earnhardt in third, and a good battle up front going on once again. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who can update us on the condition of Morgan Shepherd, who was involved in the crash in turn 2. Dick?
Well, Bob Jenkins, oh, here he is, Morgan Shepherd. We can find out right from the man himself. How are you? All right?
Yeah, I'm all right, Dick.
What happened up there?
Well, I really don't know. The car's been real tight, and I just went in one, and I don't know whether it was a little something on the track or what, but all of a sudden the car just broke loose, for no reason at all. Just very unfortunate for the 5-liter Pontiac.
Well, we currently have another incident on the Speedway at this time.
Indeed we do. Car down to the inside of the racetrack is Michael Waltrip. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt passes Rusty Wallace. Apparently the leaders have not yet taken the caution flag, and Dale Earnhardt passes Rusty to go into second position. Here comes Ricky Rudd down to take the caution flag, and Michael Waltrip also moves away with some damage on the right front of that race car.
Yeah, there is some damage to the car, and unfortunately he went a lap down. He was one of only 9 cars that was in the lead lap. Let's take a look at what happened. There were 3 abreast as they went into turn 3. Michael Waltrip in the yellow car up on the outside. He gets tapped just a little bit and sends the car in a spin, and look at the oncome of traffic. Woo.
I think Bill Elliott made some contact with the Michael Waltrip car.
Yes, he did. He just simply had nowhere to go.
So Michael Waltrip's car slid to the bottom of the racetrack, causing another caution period. And there is Michael now to the inside of the leader, Ricky Rudd. Caution out on lap 217, and now the pits are open, and Michael Waltrip will be able to come in.
The others stay out there. It hasn't been that long since they were in. Of course, they only ran a couple of laps under green flag conditions since they put on 4 new tires, but you can see the damage to the front of the Country Time Lemonade Pontiac, and they'll yank part of that away, what they feel would fall off on the racetrack. They'll put him on 4 new tires. The F9 also comes in, so does Bill Elliott. They want to check the damage to his car.
We're in Bill Elliott's car with the race cam as he gets a tire change on the right side. Trying to see if there's any damage to the front of the car. There's just a little there in the middle, but doesn't appear to be serious damage.
I don't think that would hurt him too much here. If we were at Daytona or Talladega, then it would make a little difference in the aerodynamics of the car, but here, not quite that important.
No, aerodynamics certainly not as important as it is in Daytona and Talladega.
Now, Benny Parsons proved that aerodynamics are not important here. He won his championship here with an automobile that most junkyards wouldn't have it because there wasn't much on it. That car was an absolute wreck.
Okay, now here is a real-time replay of the crash from Bill Elliott's car. We'll listen and watch. Well, that's the way it looks when 2 cars collide during a Winston Cup race at Rockingham, North Carolina. We'll be right back. Lap under green, and it's evident that Ricky Rudd, the leader of the race, has a problem. Watch the left rear of the car. Is that tire rubbing, or is there something else?
No, it's tire rubbing the quarter panel on the left rear of the Quaker State Buick, and he can't stay out there long, because that sheet metal will rub a hole through the tire and cause it to blow out. So Rudd was going to have to go in the pits unless there's a caution flag.
Evidently someone has gotten against him, maybe on the inside, pushed the quarter panel in just a little bit. Not slowing him down that much, but as Benny says, it doesn't take long to wear through when you have that kind of a rub.
And Dale Earnhardt is right there behind him. Might that change his driving tactic?
Well, he certainly wants to give enough room so in case Ricky Rudd does blow the tire, he's able to try to dodge him. Look at it, the car seems to be getting worse, the smoke. Oh, spin up in turn 1.
The brake that Ricky Rudd will need, a bad brake for these drivers, though.
Jim Sauter is the car involved in the spin up there. A lot of smoke in turn number 2. I don't believe that any other car was involved, and there is going to be no yellow. Sauter gets the car going again, and now there is a caution, but Rudd did not take it. They are still racing.
Another half lap. Let's see. They can blow any time, folks. It is dangerous when those sheet metal rub those tires.
Earnhardt is staying close by. Rudd off to the inside to go by Dave Marcus and takes the caution flag. So he made it. Now the next question is, will he be able to make it to the pits?
Oh, yeah. Have to go in the pits. These other cars will probably stay on the racetrack, so his track position is going away. He's going to go all the way to the back of the pack, or at least about 10th spot.
This could be a short yellow because the car involved, Jim Sauter, was able to get going again, and so there's not going to be any reason to bring the track crew out for any length of time.
Probably some debris came off the car when he spun around, and we have seen that earlier. Here comes Rudd down pit road, and they'll attend to the Quaker State Buick.
Here he comes. Dick Berggren will report on this important stop by Ricky Rudd.
It really is an important stop. Surprisingly, they're going to change the tires on the right side of the automobile as well. They're apparently going to take advantage of this opportunity, if you could call it such. Even in Rudd's pit, his wife just asked me, who put this tire mark on the side of our car? I said, I don't know. So apparently nobody knows. Close racing out here. It's not serious damage. They've got the right side tires changed. Sheet metal coming out. NASCAR official watching to make sure they pull it out. So there's no sheet metal against that tire. That's safety. That's very, very important here. Rudd calmly taking a drink. And there he goes. 4 tire change for Ricky Rudd. Bill Elliott's also in, and he took on some tires. The front of his car looks like he's had some contact as well.
Yeah, he had some contact with Michael Waltrip a little bit earlier. We could see that tire print on the side of that Quaker State Buick, Dick. So Ricky Rudd has been into someone, or someone has been into him.
But hopefully everything is okay now with Ricky Rudd, and he'll be able to get back up to speed and continue in the AC Delco 500 from North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. We'll be right back. A couple of laps of green, and the caution comes out once again, this time because of a crash up between turns 1 and 2 on lap 230. Several cars involved, including Darrell Waltrip.
Alan Kulwicki, our pole sitter, was involved.
Earnhardt able to maintain his lead over Rusty Wallace as they came down to take the caution flag again. Here's a replay of what happened up in turn 1.
Darrell made contact with someone. Davey Allison sees the car spinning. He locks up. He and Kulwicki get together.
And then we'll see Ricky Rudd come into it, but he gets hit from behind. Rudd got slowed down, but Jimmy Spencer comes in and hits him, shoots Rudd on the way, and they'll all be coming into the pits.
Let's go to Jerry Punch in Dale Earnhardt's pit.
Leader Dale Earnhardt brings his car in for service. Will be a routine 4 tire change for Dale Earnhardt in the Goodwrench Chevrolet. Crew now working on the right side of the car. Danny Myers at the first can of fuel in there, cleaning the windshield. And now they have trouble on the right side. An air gun failed for Earnhardt. Kurt Shelberdine yelling across the wall. Childers has taken him a backup air gun, and now they have trouble with the right side of the car. Rusty Wallace now has already had right side and left side. Wallace, the car is down and away. They're just now coming to the left side of the Earnhardt car. Harry Gant has been in and changed 4 tires. He is gone. Mark Martin is also has a 4 tire change. It is gone. Also on pit road, Davey Allison, Sterling Marlin, Alan Kulwicki getting his service off pit road. They are still working on the Dale Earnhardt car. He is finally down and away, but a problem with a broken air wrench, and Earnhardt is back toward turn 1.
And the 26 car of Ricky Rudd is being pushed, we presume, behind a wall.
It looks that way.
Yep, things going into the garage area. They're pitting very close to the garage area. That's the entrance to the garage area that they're pushing the Quaker State Buick into. It didn't look like he got hit, but it doesn't look like there's that much damage to the rear of it, but evidently there's something that we can't see.
I wouldn't be surprised if the oil reservoir is not back there.
Let's take a look at this crash from the perspective of Kyle Petty, the peek in-car camera.
There's Davey Allison spinning it direct in front of him. Kyle gets the car sideways, does a great job saving it.
Let's go to Dick Berggren, who's in Darrell Waltrip's pit.
This looks like a bit more than cosmetic damage. The left side tires are down so far they can't get the jack under. We've got 2, 4, 6, 7 guys trying to lift it. Now they got a jack underneath it so they can go to work on it. When Waltrip came by here the last time, the tires on the left side were smoking very, very badly. They've now gone flat. They're beating on the sheet metal of this car trying to get it out. They don't want to lose a lap, but it's going to go down fairly soon. They don't have an awful lot of time. He was not going very fast on that lap. Jeff Hammond looking underneath the car. What a tough break for Waltrip. He started on the outside pole. Meanwhile, behind him, Alan Kulwicki is getting ready to start it to come back in again. They've pulled the fender out of Waltrip's car. He sits here. He's not going to lose a lap. He's going to go out. I'll bet you, though, they're going to bring that thing back in and going to do some more work on it. We should mention, Kulwicki's car has got a very unusual situation going on with it. Apparently the window net has failed. They have wired and taped the window net up in Alan Kulwicki's car. I've never seen that.
All right, a tough break for Darrell Waltrip, but also a very tough break for Ricky Rudd, whose car was very, very fast and and we'll go down to Jerry Punch, who's with Ricky.
Ricky's still sitting in the car. They're working on the car. Ricky, what happened out there?
I couldn't tell. The 17 spun out. I'm not sure why he spun out, but he got sideways, started a chain reaction, and I had direct miss, and somebody, I think the 88 car hit me in the back bumper.
Looks like they drove part of the rear end up into the oil cooler. Are they changing the oil cooler?
I got the oil tank. We're going to miss quite a few laps. We're trying to get back up to 5th in the point standings, but I guess our day's over with right here.
Ricky Rudd has such a great afternoon going, and he is hitting here talking to his wife, and they are working on the car, trying to get it fixed. Both Alan Kulwicki and Darrell Waltrip are back on pit road for service. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
And neither one of these teams is very happy. They were working on the right side of Waltrip's car. Now they've gone back to this left front area. Meanwhile, on Kulwicki's car, they're working on the right side. Waltrip leaves. Kulwicki remains. This is not a good thing because Kulwicki almost went down a lap. He's not going to remember. Kulwicki was your pole sitter. Were he to win the race today, he would collect a $190,000 bonus from Unocal. If he's going to do that today, he's got his work cut out for him after this situation.
All right, the caution out for the 8th time today in North Carolina here at the AC Delco 500. Rusty Wallace now the leader. Harry Gant is second. Mark Martin third. Dale Earnhardt fourth. And Sterling Marlin fifth at the end of Mark Martin in number 6. Finds himself once again in a position to win a Winston Cup race. He's currently in 3rd position. Running very well again in the Stroh-Light Ford prepared by Jack Roush. The finger is up. One more lap to go before racing resumes.
A little farther back down pit road is the end as well, so the 2 Waltrips in the pits here getting serviced on damaged race cars.
And here comes the field off of the 4th corner, but he is not going to lose a lap as he's able to get in and out before the field comes around each time. He's made 3 pit stops, but he has still not gone down a lap. So with the yellow out, we will get another commercial break in here before we resume action here at Just taking the green flag, not yet completed a lap of green. 238 circuits are in the books. There's the leader, Rusty Wallace. He's caught behind some other cars, though, now moving to the inside and passing Kyle Petty. There are a couple of other cars that are ahead of him, namely Terry Labonte and Brett Bodine. But Rusty is the leader of the race as we have the view from Kyle Petty's peak race cam.
Those 2 cars can stay in front of Rusty Wallace. The caution flag should come out. They'll be able to make up the entire lap and come back to the rear of the field.
33 is Harry Gant, 3 is Dale Earnhardt, and 6 is Mark Martin as they try to work themselves around some slower traffic. As Ned mentioned, there is a lot of oil drag down in the 1st and 2nd turns. Caused by what, Jerry?
Well, let me show you. Ricky Rudd said he ruptured the oil tank. Here's the oil tank out of the Quaker State Fuel. This tank normally holds about 16 quarts of oil. It was totally punctured here in the rear, and probably 15 and a half quarts of this oil went on the racetrack. That's why NASCAR had to run an extra few laps under yellow, and they had to take time to clean the track. Davey Allison making an unscheduled pit stop down pit road.
Well, they're going to work on the left side tires, and a bunch of crew members are underneath the car. One of them just got glonked on the head by a tire. Didn't slow him down at all. Field just went by. Davey is down a lap. They're looking underneath. There's apparently a problem in the right rear section of the automobile. And Davey's out now, but he is a lap down. By the way, there's a lot of tire buying going on here. In the 27 pit, Rusty Wallace's wheels are supposed to be black. black, but we've got silver here. That's from the 29 car. We've got gold here. That's from the 57 car. It's exactly the situation we anticipated as cars begin to fall out. Other teams, top teams, are going up and down pit road, and there's quite a buying situation going on here. Tires for sale.
And Rusty Wallace has been able now to pass both of those cars that were ahead of him, Terry Labonte and Brett Bodine, separating himself from the rest of the field. Now, Davey Allison was one of 8 cars on the lead lap, and now he's down, so only 7 remain on the same lap with the leader, Rusty Wallace, and one of them is the 33 car of Harry Gant. He is in second. And we'll show you those drivers that have dropped out of the competition. And therefore, the teams that would have tires available, and we have one car who is not completely out of the race yet. A couple of cars, Ricky Rudd and Dave Marcus, not out of the race, but behind the wall.
Davey Allison comes back into the pits. They changed the right side tires a moment ago. Now they're back in, jacking up the right side of the car once again. And they make a chassis adjustment on that car. Screwing down on that left rear means that they're tightening the car up. They're putting some weight on that left rear. Well, he's doing the same thing on the right rear. He's raising the back end up. Evidently, he's got a rubbing problem back there.
We see the sheet metal where it's been knocked down. The rear sheet metal is lower than it normally would be. So it's probably something that's dragging the racetrack. They had to raise the whole car up to keep it from dragging.
There's Rusty Wallace, and we are approaching the halfway mark. In fact, the cross flags are being displayed to the drivers on this circuit. So we're halfway through the AC Delco 500 with Rusty Wallace in command.
Boy, we've had enough getting in trouble over in turn 2.
Another car into the wall. I believe that's Pennington, is it not? Yes, it is. Jack Pennington crashes in turn number 2, and the caution flag comes out again.
I started to say that we'd already had enough good racing and enough action for a whole race, and we're just half through.
The leader, Rusty Wallace, slows down. The pace car, driven by Elmo Langley, pulls up in front, and Brett Bodine is not able to get the lap back.
Here's a replay of the incident up in turn number 2 involving Jack Pennington. There were 2 cars involved. Can't make out who the other car was. It was Richard Petty. Indeed it was. And there he is on pit road. And we'd like to congratulate Richard Petty on being a grandfather again. His daughter Lisa and her husband Charlie Luck had a child. Back in a moment. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Dick Bergman, and Jerry Punch back at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham for the AC Delco 500 Winston Cup race. And the leader is Rusty Wallace. We're in Harry Gant's car. He is in second position, and we're looking back on third place Mark Martin and fourth place Dale Earnhardt.
Ooh, Sterling Marlin goes sideways.
Oh, he's going to save it. Yes.
Wow, what a job of driving.
Again, we see that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to spin when you lose it with these radial tires, because we've seen a couple of drivers save it, and boy, Sterling did a great job.
He was spun out, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Wow. Once again, from outside of the Skoll Bandit, look, Mark Martin just drives up on the deck lid of that Oldsmobile down in turn 1.
7 cars remain on the lead lap. They are Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin, Alan Kowicki, and Darrell Waltrip. We'll run down the rest of the field momentarily. Now here is Sterling Marlin.
Boy, did he have that thing sideways. He was going in on the outside of the Ernie Irvin car, going into the turn, and just got her really crossed up. But saved it.
Sure did. There's the battle for second place. The number 8 car, Bobby Hillin, is 2 laps down in 16th. So don't consider him as in the battle for position here, but Mark Martin and Harry Gant are in a tussle for second position. 8th place belongs to Dick Trickle. 9th is Kyle Petty. 10th is Ken Schrader. 11th is Jeff Bodine. 12th, Bill Elliott. 13th is Neil Bonnet. 14th is Brett Bodine. And 15th, Michael Waltrip. Those cars are 1 lap down.
And 2 laps down in 16th position is Bobby Hillin. Also 2 laps down, Ernie Irvin in 17th. Rick Wilson is in 18th. Lake Speed 19th. Derek Cope 20th. Larry Pearson 21st, 3 laps down. In 22nd place is Terry Labonte. 23rd is Greg Sachs. 24th, Joe Rutland. Jimmy Means now running in the 25th position. He's 4 laps down.
Harry Gant's finally able to get by the Bobby Hillin automobile. And now the 6 car driven by Mark Martin pulls up on the outside. Looks like he's able to get by as well.
They're the point leaders and where they are running. Wallace is the leader. Earnhardt, second place in points, is fourth. And Martin, third place in points, is third in the race.
There's Rusty Wallace, our leader. While these cars have been trying to get by Bobby Hillin, Wallace able to pull out to a 2 or 3 second lead on Harry Gant.
2 more races to go in the Winston Cup competition after today. In 2 weeks, we'll be bringing you the race from Phoenix, Arizona, and then the finale at Atlanta International Raceway.
On a 1-mile racetrack, do you have to use any brakes? Yes, you do. You have to brake right. Now Harry Gant's on the brakes. Now he's off, back on the throttle. But you have to hit the brakes pretty doggone hard going in 1 and 3. But Bob Hewlett has spun up in turn 4.
Well, make that Jim Sauter driving Bob Tulia's car.
Okay, I'll go for that.
But he keeps her going and no caution.
There's no limit on that car.
Bob, I apologize to you for making you spin out when you're down in the pit area.
Still watching from out the back glass of Harry Gant. Back on Mark Martin, who is in third.
Ben, you were talking about the brake situation. Now, you do use them, of course, as you were saying, quite a bit. But there's no big threat of the brakes going away like a Martinsville or a track like that.
No, there isn't. Martinsville is the toughest racetrack on the circuit on brakes. Rockingham would be somewhere in the Darlington range.
And speaking of Martinsville, of course, they'll have the Winston Classic there next Sunday. The Busch Grand National Championship will be decided. The modifieds will be there and the late model stocks.
We'll watch Harry Gant's speed and show you when he is on and off the accelerator and the brakes.
There we see him hit the brakes. Now it comes off the brakes. Back on the gas. There, all the way wide open. You see how he feathered that gas just a little bit? And if he is able to straighten that leg out immediately, he could be that much faster.
I thought he was going to shove his foot through the floorboard there for a minute.
Ooh, got the car a little sideways. Watch the steering wheel going. There he hits the brakes going down in turn 1. Off the brakes. Back on the gas. There.
This is good stuff.
Gets the workout done.
We see the thing beside the gear shift knob there. That's a piece that the fellas have put in the cars the last year or so. So when they have a crash, if their legs doesn't fly around so much and break ankles and what have you, it really has prevented a lot of broken feet and ankles in these race cars.
Yeah, that happened about a year ago. Neil Bonnet and Harry Gant and Ricky Rudd all had broken feet, and Rick Wilson as well. So they put that in there to help them.
We're a little past halfway, and we had 28 lead changes in the first half of the race. The record for lead changes here at Rockingham, 36 in 1981. Event number 27 of the 29 race 1989 Winston Cup schedule. The 8th time this afternoon, and a lot of action once again on pit road. Dick Berggren reports from Rusty's pit.
Well, he's putting on 4 sets of tires, and he can afford to do it. He's got 9 sets of tires in the pit behind him. Jerry Bunch.
Well, Harry Gant is leading. Now we have Dale Earnhardt in, getting left side tires on the Goodrich Chevrolet. Gant has made a 4-tire change. Great pit stop for Gant. Mark Martin down and away. Now Earnhardt moves back to turn 1. So 4 fresh tires for all the lead cars. They're now exiting pit road, as well Sterling Marlin, of course, and the Lake Speed car.
And look who's leading this race. The number 7 car of Alan Kulwicki, and this young man has not given up on that $190,000 bonus from Unocal.
And you know, I hear from down the pits he might be out of tires, so lead might be short-lived if he does not have any tires put on the thing.
Yeah, did he stay out there and not come in the pits because he didn't have tires?
Could be that way.
And look who's back in the race. Ricky Rudd in number 26, who led for a great portion before being involved in an incident that broke his...
Wicky's board is on the pit road. Looks like he's going to be making a pit stop. I don't know why he would have waited this long. Jerry Punch, why did he wait? Do you have any idea?
A lot of discussion between Alan Kawicki and crew chief Paul Andrews. Apparently, Kawicki only has 3 sets of tires left, and they will not make it to the checkered flag. They were thinking about saving the tires, but he wants to work up front, and he wants to get a chance at possibly winning this race and the Unocal money. So today, what the heck? We'll come in and put on 2 tires. We don't have enough to put on 4, but they are short on left side tires. Goodyear was shorted some 200 tires from what they had actually ordered. Kawicki now goes away. He has changed 2 right side tires, and the Xerox Ford will fall in on the tail end of the lead lap.
And Jerry, they made a chassis adjustment on that car. We saw one of the members screw down on the coil spring on the right rear. Now that would tend to loosen the car up a little bit, and normally if you put right side tires on, that would make it tighter, and so they made the chassis adjustment hoping to offset what the tires are going to do to it.
Well, we will see what happens and whether that Alan Kawicki car will be able to maintain a position. Dick Berggren has reported throughout the afternoon that tires are at a premium on pit road, with several of the crews making bargains down there to make sure they've got enough to go the rest of the way. There's the Jan Grandstand here on the main straightaway as the green comes out on lap 271, and the AC Delco 500 is back under racing conditions.
What happened on the tire situation is that Goodyear, the radial being such a new tire, and they really didn't know how they were going to make the tires or how to make the tires, were not able to manufacture as many tires as is required down here. Therefore, a shortfall in tires this weekend. Now, halfway of the race, fellas down there desperately needing tires.
Those drivers that have fallen out of the race won't have to go away with here with a big tire bill because they've been able to sell all of their tires, and normally once you buy them, they're yours, but now they've been able to sell those, so at least they'll cut their losses to some degree. Those are the
Watching the battle for 3rd position as Dale Earnhardt in the number 3 car goes to the inside of Mark Martin in number 6 and tries to take over 3rd, and Earnhardt does so. So now it's Wallace, Harry Gant, and Dale Earnhardt 3rd. Mark Martin is 4th. Sterling Marlin runs in 5th position, then Kawicki and Darrell Waltrip, and those are the only cars on the lead lap.
Martin's car runs like he did not stop and get tires. Did he make the pit stop and get tires this last time? If he did, he's got a problem.
He seems to be falling back as now Terry Labonte moves inside.
Maybe he only took on 2 tires, or maybe didn't take on any. I don't know, because he certainly is not working like he did a little bit earlier.
Losing another spot as Jeff Bodine passes on the inside, so there certainly is something that isn't right with that Stroh-Light Ford as it is losing positions on the racetrack.
Here again on the outside of Ken Schrader, there we see Mark Martin once again. Sterling Marlin moved in behind him trying to take the spot away.
Inside Harry Gant's car, just behind Ken Schrader, who is in 10th position, 1 lap down. What about it, Jerry Punch? What's the story on Mark Martin?
Well, to answer your first question, yes, Mark did make a pit stop and change 4 tires. The second question, what's wrong? They think they may have a tire going flat. They are trying to decide. When he goes by each time, Steve Meehl and Robin Pemberton are here on the pit wall. They are trying to hear what Mark is telling them. The car is vibrating and bouncing. He thinks he may have a tire going down. It's got quite a vibration. He just cannot stay up to speed.
He's going to drop back to 7th position as Sterling Marlin and Alan Kawicki and Darrell Waltrip have all been able to pass him.
He'll be the last car on the lead lap. They brought Richard Petty's STP Pontiac around to the garage area. He was pitting on the backstretch, and they put it in the garage area, so Richard is out of the race.
Looking back on Dale Earnhardt from Harry Gant's car. And if you're just joining us, the 3-point leaders in Winston Cup competition are all on the lead lap. But Mark Martin is really struggling in the number 6 car.
Darrell Waltrip has not been able to get around him yet, so he's still running in the 6th position. Waltrip running 7th.
Martin does not want to make that pit stop, get a lap down. There's still a long ways to go in this race, but getting a lap back is rather difficult.
Especially when you have someone like Rusty Wallace up there running very fast.
We're staying with Mark Martin because it is a story in case he has a problem. Well, Jack Pennington is trying to spin down in turn 4, but he's got the car going back straight again.
Well, Jack Pennington has also been involved in a couple of incidents this afternoon, a couple of spins.
And by the way, Jim Sauter did park the Bob Tulia's car after his last spin. They took it into the garage area, and he said, I've had enough. There's something could be wrong with the car, but they did park it.
So Pennington goes into his pit on the backstretch, and there is an interval now between 1st and 2nd position as Rusty Wallace has the lead in the AC Delco 500. We're glad you could join us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon from the sand hills of Rockingham, where Rusty Wallace leads the AC Delco 500 with a rather comfortable advantage at the moment over Harry Gann. It's an interval of about 2.5 seconds. There's Rusty going down the backstretch on the 296th lap. Now we'll pan our camera back and show you the cars that are remaining on the racetrack at the moment. There's the leader, Rusty Wallace, in the Kodiak Pontiac number 27. 2nd position belongs to Harry Gann in the number 33 Skoal Bandit. Finished 31st here in March and is runner-up at the moment. Now, Ken Schrader is next on the racetrack. However, he is a lap down in 8th position, the first car on, not on the lead lap.
And there's Dale Earnhardt, the fellow who's currently 2nd in the Winston Cup point standings. And right behind Earnhardt, we find the 84 car, Dick Trickle, a fellow that's leading. Ooh, Trickle gets a little sideways, leading the rookie point standings this year. 47-year-old rookie.
And he's a lap down in 9th position.
Next car back, we've got 2 side by side. That's Michael Waltrip in the yellow number 30. Sterling Marlin, the number 94 Ultra Sunoco Oldsmobile. And he is currently running in 4th spot.
We saw Michael Waltrip there. He just went 2 laps down. Michael was 1 lap down, running in the 14th position, but he just went 2 laps down. His car not running up the car.
And there comes the 6th car. That's Mark Martin, the fellow who we talked about just a moment ago, might have some problems.
But he seems to have picked up now. Mark Martin seems to have picked up from what he was running a little bit earlier. He currently is running in the 5th position. And Jerry, do you have a comment on what's been going on with Mark Martin?
Well, a few minutes ago, Mark had radioed in and talked to Steve Mills, and they thought they might have a tire going down. But Steve, now you decided that it's not a tire going down. What was the problem?
It's the first time we've run sticker tires all day. Evidently, the car squiggled around a little bit on him. Mark thought he was loose, and he was loose, so he backed it up a little bit. He's got some temperature in the tire, and he's coming back. So we're going to be okay.
The problems have gone away now for Mark Martin, so he'll be all right. Ned?
Okay, so he does maintain that 5th position. Next in line is the car number 5 of Jeff Bodine, who's been in and out of the pits quite a bit this afternoon. Jeff currently running in the 10th position.
And Dave Marcus of Lifeboy Chevrolet on the inside, the blue number 71. There's Bodine, and there's Dave Marcus, the picture of Marcus. Darrell Waltrip, he's had all kinds of problems. He's been in and out of the wall a couple of times today. Still running very well. And right behind him, there's Darrell Waltrip, picture of him. Ricky Rudd, the green number 26, probably the best car here this afternoon. Earlier on, got in a problem down in turn 1, broke the oil tank. Had to make an unscheduled stop for 10 or 12, 15 laps in the pits.
26 to be exact.
26.
Well, we almost missed the 21 car of Neil Bonnet, and we don't want to do that because Neil is only 1 lap down in 11th position in his comeback this afternoon here at Rockingham after the injuries at Dover. The number 2 car is driven by Ernie Irvin. He is in 16th position, 2 laps down. There's Ernie. Here you can see his best finish on a super speedway, 6th at Charlotte in September. And right behind him is the number 11 car driven by Terry Labonte, who is 3 laps down, shown 22nd at the moment.
Terry not having a very good race here at Rockingham. Then comes Rick Wilson in car number 4. There's a spin on the backstretch. Alan Kowicki is in trouble. There's the car number 83 of Lake Speed spinning around, but Alan Kowicki maybe just was in the smoke. We don't see a yellow flag yet as Lake Speed tries to get the Bullseye Barbecue Sauce and Oldsmobile back in the right direction. He was down off of the racing surface, so he was out of harm's way. Lake was running in the 17th position, 2 laps down.
We'll replay this incident. Coming down the backstretch. There's Speed sliding to the inside.
And when I said Alan Kowicki, he was coming out of the smoke of Lake Speed, and I thought that Alan Kowicki had a problem, but he was just coming out of that smoke.
So Lake Speed didn't hit anything, just spun to the inside. Now, as we continue our field summary, the next car is Kyle Petty at number 42. We, of course, have had an in-car camera with him all afternoon, and Kyle is 1 lap down, running in 12th spot. There's the peak unit in Pontiac, driven by Kyle Petty.
They're really looking forward to 1990. They feel like that he and Gary Nelson have worked together this summer, and they've got some good things going in 1990. Bobby Hillen, the Miller High Life Buick, goes by Kyle Petty, number 8. There we see Bobby Hillen.
He's running in the 19th position. He's 2 laps down.
Brett Bodine, the Motorcraft Ford, going in turn 3. He was involved in the accident just a little bit ago with a 47 car. There he going by 47. Jack Pennington. There's our pole sitter, Alan Kowicki, the fellow who has an opportunity today to pick up a $190,000 bonus. All he's got to do is win.
He's the last car on the lead lap, running in 7th position.
And Michael Waltrip is in number 30, 14th position, a lap down to the field. We've already talked about him. The number 48 car is driven by Greg Sachs. He's 23rd and 3 laps to the rear.
I tell you what, though, that Pontiac, though, a Dinner Bell Pontiac driven by Greg Sachs, has run well today. He might be 3 laps down, but he has run extremely well this afternoon.
Bill Elliott is right behind him, and our in-car camera with Bill shows him in 13th position, a lap down to the field. From the in-car camera, you again get an idea of the visibility that's going to be very hard going into turn number 1 in the next few laps.
Joe Rutland, the Baja Boats Oldsmobile. You know, and I was reading a press release from these Baja people, and they say in 1990 they're going to run the entire Winston Cup schedule. This year, only 5 races just to learn a little bit about what's going on. Really aggressive plans for 1990.
Joe Rutland from Upland, California, in the number 62 Baja Boats car. There's the 16 car of Larry Pearson, who began this race from 3rd position, currently is running 20th, 2 laps down. And right behind him would be Phil Parsons in number 55.
Phil is about 15 or 16 laps down. He lost a lot of time early in the race, a long pit stop on the backstretch.
Derek Cope, the Pure Leader Pontiac, still on the racetrack. He is 2 laps down in 21st spot, and he has had some super runs going Charlotte, North Carolina. He almost won the race, finished 6th.
And there is the leader once again, Rusty Wallace. So we showed you the entire field as it is running on the racetrack, with Rusty Wallace continuing to show the way.
Well, there were a couple of cars that we went by. Car number 28, Davey Allison, running very slow on the racetrack out there. And Jimmy Means is still out there. Hutch Strickland and the car number 54.
And there are the top 5 with 302 laps out of 492 completed. Action here at Rockingham with Rusty Wallace leading this 500-mile race here at the Rock.
And he's just cruising around here, just a good Sunday afternoon drive. The car working very well for him. Has a little bit of a piece of paper on the grill of the car. I don't think it's hurting him. We'll see him the next time he comes into a camera. We'll see that piece of paper on the right side of the grill, but doesn't seem to be affecting the speed. And there you can see it in the center, the right center of the grill. But still plenty of space for air to get into the radiator. Don't think it would affect his cooling ability.
You know, this time of year, several racing organizations have already concluded their seasons, especially up in the Midwest, where I left 6 inches of snow in Indianapolis on Thursday when we came down here. So as the racing winds up in the Midwest, some of those who have been active in that part of the country come down here and watch the Winston Cup guys. But I know there's at least one gentleman down in the pit area who's doing more than just watching. He's hoping, and Jerry Punch is with him.
Well,
it's nice to have a face in the crowd that we might, IndyCar fans might recognize. 32-year-old Steve Butler from Kokomo, Indiana, a 3-time USAC sprint car champion and dirt champion for USAC. And Steve, these cars you see today are a little bit different than the Cosworth-powered Lola you drove in Indianapolis back in May.
That's true, Jerry. But one thing I learned after 3 years of 3 sprint car championships and going 215 miles an hour at Indy is I like close competition, and I really love high speed. And I think this Winston Cup Series combines those two elements better than any other type of racing series in the world. And I'm really dying to get down here and race with these guys. Hopefully I'll be able to get down here maybe late next year or maybe sooner.
Well, one of your peers, Ken Schrader, has been guiding you around the garage area all weekend. Now, Kenny's telling you, you need to tell your car owner, Jeff Stoops, to come down and buy one of these things and go stock car racing.
Well, Jeff Stoops and his wife, Terry, have been awful good to me, Jerry. They've, been with me all the sprint car championships I've won, and they own the Indy car that I ran at Indy. And, I don't know, Jeff likes that Indy car racing, but he's starting to like the stock car racing, too, so that'd be great.
We got a spin on the racetrack. Car number 94 is spun. Thank you, Steve, for coming down and being with us. We're going to have a caution. Apparently, we have, caution waving now here at Rockingham. Bob?
That's Sterling Marlin, who lost it in turn number 2 and did a half spin, didn't hit anything, has the car going once again. But another caution period waves on North Carolina Motor Speedway.
Well, let's see, did he stay in the lead lap? He was running.
Yes, he
did.
In
the top 5, so.
Steve Butler, while he is a 3-time sprint car champion, had some problems this year, broke his shoulder blade, I believe, at Indianapolis, and then re-injured it. Did a great job as a color commentator on one of our Thursday Night Thunder shows. Now, pit stops are being made. Rusty Wallace is in. Jerry Bunch in Gant's pit.
Harry Gant on the bottom of your screen, 27 on top, Rusty Wallace now. Gant's crew getting the right side tires, likewise for Rusty Wallace. The jack down on the Wallace car. Around comes Barry Dodson, likewise. Charlie Presley on the Harry Gant car. Left side tires now going on. Left front for Maycar on the Wallace machine, and left front for Harry Gant. Wallace's crew just about finished. Rusty Wallace off the jack, he's down and away. Gant's car now getting the final look. That's all, he is down and away. And Dale Earnhardt also getting down and away. His left side tire is complete, as Mark Martin will follow Earnhardt toward turn 1.
That Kodiak crew has been getting Rusty in and out quickly, haven't they?
They've had some exceptionally fast pit stops that have kept him right up there all afternoon.
There's Alan Kowicki, who is Xerox crew, finishes up and pushes him away. Bill Elliott moving away from pit road, so is Michael Waltrip. Jeff Bodine moves away as the yellow flag has once again reduced the speed of this 500-miler here in Rockingham. Back after this.
Everybody has been in the pits, and Davey Allison's still in the pits. He has had major problems here recently, but still trying to stay out there and maintain his point position as well as he can.
Ken Schrader down on the inside of Rusty Wallace, and Schrader might have been a little bit quicker than Wallace on this last segment of green flag racing. He's trying desperately to get his lap back. We'll see if he's able to do it.
Here's Darrell Waltrip. He has been in and out the pits quite a bit. They've been doing a lot of work on that Tide Chevrolet since he spun a little bit earlier and had some damage on it. So the cautions have helped him. He's been in and out. He's currently running in the 5th position.
We're getting set for a restart. Cars in their 2 abreast restart formation. That's Ken Schrader to the inside of the leader, Rusty Wallace, and Larry Pearson right behind him. Pace begins to quicken here off of corner number 4, and the green flag waves on lap 316. Back to racing at Rockingham. Good jump by Rusty Wallace.
That's unbelievable how he was able to drive away just by car lengths, bus lengths on the competition.
Earnhardt in 3rd position. Here's Darrell Waltrip and Alan Kowicki fighting for position. No 3rd gear in that 17 car, making it difficult on the restarts. Once he gets going, he's all right.
You see Alan Kowicki start bouncing around as he came off turn 4. He told me the other day he felt like he was riding a kangaroo. I understand what he's talking about now.
Darrell Waltrip running 5th, and Alan Kowicki running in the 6th position.
Derek Kowicki pulls up.
Now, I think Kowicki has 4 fresh tires on this time. The other time, he only took on 2 tires, and he was not a factor at all. But now with 4 tires, the Z-Rex Ford running much better.
Don't you know he's really upset about being in this position because he can't utilize those 4 tires. He needs good clean racetrack where he can really run around the racetrack without any traffic to utilize those 4 fresh tires.
Well, the radial tires certainly did create a lot of conversation in the garage area and down on pit road. We sampled the opinion of several drivers and got differing viewpoints from those on the front row, Waltrip and Kowicki.
I really like them here better than anywhere we've had them. We haven't had any kind of ill feelings with the car. You can actually get the car a little bit out of shape and it comes right back to you, which is something we haven't had other places. So I like the radial here. It's the best it's been.
No, I don't think so. You know, I think we're still adjusting. And, you know, I think in the future, maybe Goodyear will make some more changes and it'll make them a little bit easier to drive. Sometimes they're pretty good. Sometimes they're a little bit unpredictable. It's just a new variable. Everything is pretty much the same here now as it was in the spring, except for the tires.
So some differing opinions on the radial tires as Alan Kowicki is in 7th position, right behind 6th place Darrell Waltrip. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who is with Jeff Hammond. Dick?
Well, Jeff, you were running very well earlier. You had that crash. You made a number of pit stops. You're running 5th. What now?
Well, Dick, we're still not quite right. The toe end's still knocked out, and we're bottoming out just a little bit on the tailpipes when it goes to the corner. It really bent the A-frames really bad underneath the left front. So we really need another caution flag to really try to get the car better. Harold's doing a great job right now. You know, he's really driving his heart out, but we're just going to have a few more caution flags. If we get that, we may have a shot of beating these guys today.
And that would be really something spectacular. Jeff Hammond and this gang never gives up.
Waltrip still very much in the thick of things, and so is Alan Kowicki, although Darrell has driven away from Alan just a little bit. Now, again, this is 5th and 6th. Waltrip 5th, Kowicki 6th. 7th is Sterling Marlin, the final car on the lead lap. And look at this, good battle for 2nd place here between number 33, Harry Gant, and Dale Earnhardt.
A lot of threes in that picture, isn't there?
Yeah. Earnhardt closing in.
Look how low he's running on the racetrack now. And remember, folks, how high he was running earlier in the race. The groove has changed, it looks like. Back down on the bottom of the racetrack instead of up on the high groove. Even Harry Gant is down a little bit lower than he was running earlier.
We again remind you that Fay Vincent, the baseball commissioner, has a news conference at 5 o'clock this afternoon that ESPN will carry live regarding the World Series. And speaking of the earthquake, on Monday night, we reported that Tim Coffey, one of the crew members on the Newman-Haas IndyCar team, was unaccounted for in San Francisco. He has been found and is safe. If the race ended now, that's how the point standing would shake out, with Wallace maintaining the lead over Earnhardt and Mark Martin, and there would be 2 more races to go.
That would be a 47-point lead. Earnhardt went into this race with 37 points behind Rusty Wallace, and right now he's running 3rd, Wallace running 1st. There's 5 points difference at 1st from 2nd, and 2nd and 3rd, so that's the 10 points.
And of course, both have led a lap, picking up 5 points for that.
And it has not been determined yet who will lead the most laps and get that 5 points.
So the lead is held by Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri, as he seeks his first Winston Cup championship in 19.
And Paul Goldsmith was here on Thursday of this week. Hadn't seen him in several years.
You know, when that was made, the track was completely different than it is now, and Paul Goldsmith was one of those instrumental in changing it and reshaping to its present-day configuration. Now, here is Mark Martin, and he's really closing in on Harry Gant, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Harry Gant is closed in on Ken Schrader. That's Mark Martin right behind, just about 4 or 5 car lengths behind Harry Gant.
Yeah, the last time we saw Mark Martin, he was running behind Dale Earnhardt, who was running 3rd, and Mark Martin was running 4th. He since has passed Earnhardt, drove away from him, and is now moving up on Harry Gant. You can see Earnhardt's car, the black car, coming down here right now.
So that's how far Dale Earnhardt has dropped behind here just in the last few laps. That's Nick Trickle, number 84, currently the leader in rookie points in Winston Cup competition. mentioned, we had an interview earlier in the race with Steve Butler, who's watching from the open wheel competition. And of course, Dick Trickle comes to Winston Cup this year as a 47-year-old rookie after spending many, many seasons in the Midwest, driving for the ASA Championship. And Butch Miller, of course, has competed in several Winston Cup races and will hopefully be back in 1990.
There's a couple other guys that came here from ASA. Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Alan Kulwicki. So yes, ASA is certainly no stranger to the NASCAR Winston Cup division.
Good proving ground, apparently. I know they have a lot of competition.
It is a great series that Rex Robbins and the other people associated with the American Speed Association conduct.
And of course, the Winston Racing Series of NASCAR, the Busch Grand National Series, the Winston Modified Series, all of those have provided a lot of top drivers as well. So it's good to have these good short track programs around the country that can keep feeding the top drivers in the Winston Cup.
Neil Bonnet is having a fine run this afternoon. He's recuperating still from that broken sternum, but is making his comeback here at Rockingham this afternoon. And boy, you know he's got to be in just a little bit of pain, if not a lot of pain, with that broken sternum.
I would think so, because the best way to get in shape to drive a race car is drive a race car. And he hasn't done that since Dover. And I thought that Neil would really be out of shape, but he's out there hanging tough.
He's in the top 10, as a matter of fact, only a lap down.
Yeah, he's running in 10th place, and I'll tell you, this is quite a test. Running his first race, coming back running at Rockingham, 500 miles here, is one of the toughest on the circuit.
Well, Jerry Punch was able to talk with Neil Bonnet earlier in the weekend concerning his ability to drive in this race, and simply asked Neil Bonnet, how are you feeling, Neil?
Well, it surprised me how good I do feel. You know, I've been uncomfortable the last few weeks, as you know, being a doctor. The fact that sternum and rib aren't the most comfortable thing in the world, but I had this brace built down at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and the guys did some work with me there and built a brace, and it actually feels better on and in the race car than it does just walking around without it. I'm thinking about, I didn't look so funny, I'd wear it all the time, but it's really done a lot of good for me. I feel good, and I think the biggest thing, Jerry, is just to get back around the racetrack. I missed it so much. TV does a good job covering it, but there's nothing like being in the middle of this stuff, and all my friends are here. I've been in this so long, you know, it's just good to be back, and I think the mental frame of mind, I'm ready to go racing.
What Neil didn't tell me in the interview on camera, but he did tell me later, is that he does have 5 broken ribs. Now, he is trying to breathe with that cage around his chest, holding his breastplate in position, as well as the straps and belts that hold him in the seat. We showed you in that track back that new padded strap that comes across and holds the belt together that Bill Simpson has developed. But all that has got to make it awfully tough to breathe. And he's been in that race car over 3 hours now, so I tell you, you got to give the man a hand. He really missed racing. He couldn't wait to get back. He said, I'm going to finish good today, well today, I should say. He said, I want to finish the top 10. Right now, he's running in the top 10. Huh?
Indeed is in the 10th position, but boy, you got to take your hats off to Neil Bonnet. Now, we have had a change of place for second. Mark Martin is in second now. Harry Gant back to third, and we'll show you how the pass occurred.
Harry Gant let the car drift up a little bit, and Mark Martin, as he's been doing most of the day, able to stick on the bottom of the racetrack, down the front straightaway, takes the spot away.
And now he's running about 3 6/10 seconds behind Rusty Wallace, who is leading the race as we look out the windshield of Harry Gant's car. Skull Bandit Food Line, Detroit Casket, Oldsmobile.
Mark Martin has finished second 5 times this year, and he has, of course, been very consistent during the entire 1989 season. Finds himself third in Winston Cup points. When is this team and Mark Martin going to win a Winston Cup race?
You just get closer and closer and closer. Somewhere out there, there's a victory waiting on you.
Well, somewhere out there, there's a whole lot more than one waiting on us. You know, that's the way we're looking at it.
Right side tires have already gone on. They had the left side lug nuts off. They are dancing around.
But the left side lug nuts aren't tightened. The wheel flies off, and Mark Martin spins into the tire barrier, turn 1 at Sears Point. Over on his roof, Mark Martin calmly unbuckles, sprints back to the pits to consult with the crew.
we just laughed that off. You know, it was a bad deal, and we just kind of, we'll get them. You know, our deal's coming. We're going to win races, and you know that's not going to happen again.
While leading the Pepsi 400, Martin is tapped by Jeff Bodine, sending him into a spin. What was going through his mind?
It was just going to be torn all to pieces, you know, and therefore I wasn't going to be able to run anymore.
But his enthusiasm took him back to the front in Daytona.
You know how much he wants this Winston Cup win, and he's going to try everything in his power here in the last 5 laps to keep the lead. But Davey Allison now moves above Mark Martin, and Allison grabs the lead.
And Bill Elliott comes looking on the outside.
That was one of the more depressing moments of my life. To win at Daytona, get your first Winston Cup win at Daytona is incredible, and we were awful close, and it hurt bad.
Dover, Delaware, battling wheel to wheel with Earnhardt. Was it another disappointment?
Very satisfied. No disappointment there. We just barely got beat.
With 20 laps to go at Charlotte, Martin looked like a sure winner, but an equalized tire pulled the rug from under him.
I could not believe that we could lose. With 20 laps to go, I couldn't believe, I already knew that we were going to lose the race. I couldn't believe it. Our day's coming. We can't make it happen any sooner than it's going to.
Some of the disappointments experienced by Mark Martin in the 1989 season, but once again, he finds himself in second and a possible winner. The current points leader in Winston Cup competition has a lead here at Rockingham this afternoon, with Mark Martin running second, Harry Gant third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, Darrell Waltrip fifth, and Alan Kowicki sixth. Those 6 cars on the lead lap. Here's the interval now between first and second position. There is Mark on the high side of turn number 4.
And Mark Martin wanted to be sure that the people in Batesville, Arkansas knew just how much he appreciated last Saturday, Mark Martin Day, in his hometown of Batesville, Arkansas. He had to be in North Wilkesboro, unable to attend. So the people signed a 40-foot piece of paper 3 feet high and sent it to Mark here in Rockingham. And I talked to him this morning. He was just delighted with it. So folks in Batesville, he is tickled to death. Jerry Punch, you got something to add?
Well, indeed, Vinny. In fact, that 40-foot piece of paper that those people signed, they cut it in 3 pieces. Now, one piece is being used as their pit wall liner. It's the banner that is over pit wall as Darrell Waltrip now moves inside of Dale Earnhardt down at turn 1 and 2. Earnhardt on the outside, Waltrip on the inside. But the banner that Mark Martin received is being used as this pit wall banner here. And we'll use the second, third in Phoenix, and the final piece will be used in Atlanta. So he really wanted to thank all the people in Batesville who showed up last Saturday. He couldn't be there, but a great opportunity and a great tribute to him on Mark Martin Day.
All right, Jerry, and we're watching a great battle on the racetrack for 4th position between Dale Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip inside of Earnhardt, and there was a car that I neglected to mention in or on the lead lap, I should say. There are 7 cars on the lead lap, and the 7th is Sterling Marlin. But this battle here for 4th, and Dick Trickle also hanging right in there, although he's in 8th position a lap down.
Waltrip's car working pretty good down on the inside. Earnhardt's car either not working as good as it did earlier in the race, or everybody else is working better now. I don't know what, but he's just not able to be as competitive as he was earlier. Still hanging in there, though, in the top 5. As Waltrip, Jeff Hammond said the toe end was still a little off on the Tide Chevrolet number 17, but Waltrip doing a good job of keeping her in the lead lap, and now takes over the 4th position.
Waltrip leading in most popular driver balloting. Bill Elliott, of course, has won that award for several years, but Darrell Waltrip leads in the voting this year.
Oh, Waltrip got a little loose as he came off the turn.
What happens when you come off that corner? You look up in the rearview mirror to see where the other driver is, and you lose the racetrack while you're glancing up in that corner, and that's what happens is you lose the back end just a little bit.
Don't glance up then.
You got to know if he's out there or not, because remember Bobby Allison here in about 1976? He and Cale Yarborough got together and he flipped about 27 times down the back straightaway. It was a mess.
Let's go to our Napa race summary now. Rusty Wallace leading, has led 140 of the 350 laps, average speed 112.464. 11 lead leaders, 30 lead changes, 11 caution periods, a total of 52 laps, and 7 cars currently on the lead lap. Here are a list of those drivers who have led in the competition so far, including Kulwicki and Waltrip and Earnhardt and Jim Sauter and Mark Martin. Also Rudd, Gant, Wallace, Brett Bodine.
Bill Parsons. For quite a while. Extensive repairs.
But they're back on the racetrack trying to get every Winston Cup point possible they can, because back in the other positions, not only the front is close, but back 8th, 9th, 10th, all those positions very, very close. And the Winston Cup pays back 20 spots. I think 20th is worth about $20,000. So $22,000. So a lot of money at stake here in the last few races of the year.
Checking intervals. Back to Darrell Waltrip. Here he comes out of the 4th corner. So the interval between 1st and 5th, make it 1st and 4th, is
1st and 5th, because Earnhardt's right behind him.
Okay, is about 13 seconds.
Yep, I go for that.
Well, Rusty Wallace is 3 8/10 seconds ahead of Mark Martin. So he's picked up about a second on Mark in the last 15 or 20 laps. So he's pulling away a little bit, even after Martin moved up into second place and looked so strong. And to be exact, fellas, you were pretty good on it. 12 8/10 seconds. The 5th place car is behind Rusty Wallace now, which is a little less than half a lap.
Now we'll get the interval between Rusty Wallace and second place Mark Martin. There you go, just about 3.7 seconds.
That's what you said, wasn't it, Ed?
Yep, somewhere in that neighborhood. It'll change, you know, a tenth of a second a lap depending on the traffic they get in and that kind of thing. But Wallace is really pulling away just a little bit.
Rusty is looking for his 7th win of 1989. He's won 6 times. He won here at Rockingham, of course, to begin his winning season. After an 18th place finish at Rockingham, he won at Richmond, won at Bristol, won at Watkins Glen, Michigan, Richmond, and now leading again here at Rockingham. The top 10, as they are at 369 laps, here is leading the AC Delco 500 here at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Going for 3 consecutive wins here at the Rock. One last fall, he won last spring.
You know, I said at the opening of the show that Rusty Wallace was going to have to get things going if he was going to win the championship. He certainly has things going for him this evening.
Boy, he certainly does have. Starting at 21st position didn't bother him that much. He worked his way up very quickly. Good pit work helped to put him up towards the front. And once he got there, he's been able to hang on.
Now, as they go into turn number 1, gentlemen, let's talk about this sun problem that occurs every year here at Rockingham.
Yeah, we've got some in-car cameras still out there. Let's watch. Here's Harry Gant by the start-finish line. He's driving down into the sun. Look, the racetrack just almost goes away right there.
Now, NASCAR has informed the teams that they can take the windshields. Of course, they wouldn't do that during a green flag pit stop. They would if a caution came out, and so that could help them going into that turn.
And also, NASCAR has allowed a man to go across the wall today just to clean the windshield on these cars, because we see all the sand there again. Once again, the glare going in turn 1, but you see how the sand has blasted the windshield, and visibility is difficult anyway. So NASCAR said, okay, go across, clean the windshield to the best of your ability, because these drivers are going to need it.
And we've still got about another hour of racing to go, and as the afternoon goes on, it'll get worse down there.
Get much worse. We'll keep watching this, and 15, 20 minutes from now, we'll see how the glare is and try to compare it to now, and we'll see that it's very, very much worse as the day wears on.
Harry Gant moving high, passing or trying to pass at least Lake Speed in car number 83. Harry Gant is running 3rd.
And you can see he doesn't wear gloves. He likes the feel of that steering wheel.
And you wonder, don't he blister his hands? Yes, he does. That boy's got blisters on top of blisters. But as Ned said, he likes the feel of the steering wheel. Don't like to put gloves on because he feels like it does hurt his performance.
Earnhardt and Waltrip have been battling back and forth now for about the last 20 laps, and Earnhardt
Darrell was
Waltrip was in fourth for a while, but now we see that Earnhardt is back in fourth, and Darrell's back to fifth.
Yeah, they'd like to see a caution flag, get some new tires on those cars. I assume they have tires in the pits.
We should be seeing some pit stops before long, shouldn't we?
I would imagine it's not going to be too long because I would think that we're pretty close to some pit time. Ricky Rudd is still on the racetrack. He has replaced the oil tank. He's back on the track, as Ned mentioned, 25 laps down.
Rusty Wallace is losing some of his lead to Mark Martin. When we talked him a little bit ago, he was 3 and 7/10 seconds ahead. Now about 2.5 seconds. So Mark Martin is definitely picking up on Rusty Wallace.
There is Rusty as he puts the car into turn number 3.
And back there is Mark Martin on the outside of the 16 car driven by Larry Pearson.
There's the interval between first and second.
Going by Hud Strickland, the car number 57.
Well, as a result of him passing those two cars, that hurt Mark Martin a little bit. This time he was 3 seconds behind when he came across the start-finish line. And it could be that Rusty lost a little bit of that time when he got in some traffic too. And he's in some heavy traffic right now. Moving up on Ricky Rudd. There's Sterling Marlin, who is still on the lead lap, but he's about to go a lap down. He's the 7th place driver right now. It's Ricky Rudd in the green car and the car number 94 of Sterling Marlin running in 7th place. Jerry, how about it? How much farther can they go before they need to pit?
Well, checking in the leaders pit here, Rusty Wallace, he last pitted on lap 314. We are coming up, say, on about lap 383, so roughly 70 laps to go. They figure they can make it at least 20 more laps, so look at them to pit possibly on lap 402 to 404. That would put them running around 90 laps. Now, what may dictate their strategy, if someone else among the top 5 or 6 comes in and pits early, those fresh tires are going to make them so quick, it's going to force everyone else's hand to also come in early. And we're looking for Wallace right now in about 18 to 22 laps.
All right, we'll watch for that. Meanwhile, he has put Sterling Marlin down a lap, so just 6 cars now remain on the lead lap.
And we'll check him out and see how Mark Martin is faring back there. He is 3 and 17/100 of a second behind, so now Rusty is beginning to open it up a little bit. It had closed to 2.5 seconds. Rusty apparently got the message and decided to pull away a little bit again. And again, it could have been due to them getting in traffic. That has a great deal to do because you can lose a 1/2 second a lap very easy getting in traffic.
So Wallace continues to lap the slower traffic, putting another circuit on the number 71 car of Dave Marcus as Rusty Wallace leads to go here at Rockingham in the AC Delco 500. Rusty Wallace leads over Mark Martin, Harry Gant, Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip. And Alan Kowicki, one of those on the lead lap, in for a pit stop. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, he slid all 4 tires to a stop here. He's going to come in and take on 4 brand new tires. These are sticker tires. Alan Kowicki, the only guy that's got a shot to win that big bonus money from UCAL today, $190,000. He's got the right side tires out now. We're rushing around to the left side, trying to get those on. Cars up in the air. Left side tires on the way on for Kowicki. Meanwhile, everybody else is storming by as Kowicki goes a lap down. 26.3 seconds, and he did go down a lap with that 4-tire change.
So Kowicki builds back up some speed as he pulls back out onto the racetrack.
Well, according to the calculations in the booth here, he ran 78 laps on that set of tires and tank of fuel.
So he may need another one before this is over.
Yeah, he definitely will have to stop at least one more time. But you can watch him and see how he's able to move through the traffic with those new tires on. Boy, that car feels so good right now, Benny Parsons.
Yeah, Ricky Rudd made a pit stop while we were away. He's back on the racetrack, just zooming by everybody like he's got a rocket and they got a name on it.
Yeah.
And you know, Ned, if those drivers just knew the caution flag wasn't going to fall, they would have stopped 20 laps ago, changed 4 tires, and then stopped about 40, 50 laps to go and changed 4 more tires and could made up a lot of time. But if they stop and the caution flag does come out a lap or 2 later, they're just killed.
Bill Elliott goes down another lap, and I believe that puts him 3 down.
That does put Bill Elliott 3 down. He's running in the 12th position.
He just has had an off day since the drop of the green flag. Qualified well in 4th position, but things have just not gone well for the Coors Melling Ford driven by Bill Elliott. But things are going very well for Rusty Wallace in the Kodiak Pontiac as he leads the race and tries to add to his points total in the search for the Winston Cup.
There we see Dave Marcus, the number 71, trying to go by Elliott down in turn 1 and does go by. Bill Elliott, as you mentioned, missed the setup this afternoon. Now he's trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Here is Mark Martin, the 2nd place car.
And look behind him, Harry Gant has almost caught Mark Martin.
And is in 3rd position.
Not too long ago, he was about 3 seconds behind Mark Martin, and now he's up within car lengths of him.
We watch from Harry's car. Mark Martin ahead. Yeah, we'll pan the camera this way and see who is behind Harry Gant. It's the number 54 car driven by Bob Shack from Lombard, Illinois. One of the ARCA drivers.
And also we went by Bill Elliott.
And there's the Kyle Petty car, number 42, as Kyle is in 18th position, down 5 laps.
Rusty Wallace is about, well, I thought he was about to make a pit stop. He slowed down. It looked like down on the inside of the racetrack, but he just stayed out there. Now, talking about the tires, Rusty just turned the last lap at 27 7/10 seconds. Alan Kowicki, after he put those 4 tires on, was running 26:13, a full 1.5 seconds a lap faster than Rusty Wallace is running right now. And Rusty is having to go very slow, back off a lot going into the turn. Those tires are really heated up and worn out.
The 6 and the 33 are coming. They're going to catch Rusty Wallace in the next lap.
Yeah, he might have more problems than tires.
He sure might, because look, there's Harry again. We're trying to look out the windshield, but all the glare we can't see.
Boy, that interval has really closed up now between 2nd and 3rd and the leader. So Rusty indeed is not up to full song. There may be something wrong with the Kodiak Pontiac more than just tires. That remains to be seen at the moment. But here now, the first 3 cars that are running very close to each other. Jerry, what's the problem?
We are here in the Rusty Wallace pit, and they were waiting for Rusty to come in and make his pit stop, and he's coming into tires. Rusty has said that the problem is tires. Harold Elliott just signaled to me, he pointed to the tires on the wall, said the tires have just totally gone away, Jerry. I said, do you have a motor problem or a clutch problem? He said, no, it's simply tires. We were afraid a couple more laps of speed and the car would be in the wall. Here is Dale Earnhardt down pit road in the Goodrich Chevrolet. The crew now going to work on Dale Earnhardt's car. Right side tires on Earnhardt. Rusty Wallace, the lead car, now brings the Kodiak Pontiac on pit road. Harold Elliott, Barry Dodson and the crew now going to work. Wallace as the car stops. Right side tires going in on the car. Left side lug nuts being taken off. It's cleaning the windshield. Earnhardt now getting his service. Left side tires going on the Goodrich Chevrolet. Earnhardt's car just about finished with their pit stop as they are trying to get the tires on the car. A problem with the Earnhardt car now getting the left front tire. He is down and away. Wallace's car down and away. 31, a little over 31 seconds for Rusty Wallace. And Harry Gant apparently has spun on the racetrack, and they're waiting for Gant to make a pit stop. His tires have worn out as well. That will hurt the guys who just made a pit stop this caution flag. Bob?
Well, Harry Gant's car is stopped near the apron of the racetrack. Now he gets it going again. The yellow flag does come out.
Mark Martin takes the yellow flag. Alan Kowicki tried to get back in the lead lap as he came across the start-finish line, but couldn't quite do it. And here you see the damage to the rear end of Gant's car as he backed it into the wall.
How's that car running?
That car has been shortened considerably in the rear end.
How is it running? Because it looks like it's a yard shorter than it was a few laps ago, 1 lap ago.
Let's replay the crash. Show you what happened down in turn number 1.
Someone hit it.
Now it's Alan Kowicki.
Yep. Just went in and into the turn a little bit too hard. Al Kowicki, yeah, you can see the back end of the car fold up.
Yeah.
And Kowicki, with the new tires on, was just going in there a lot faster. Pit stops coming up.
Mark Martin, Alan Kowicki will go to Dick Berggren in Mark Martin's pit.
It's about time these guys got a break, and they just got a big one. Jack Roush stuck his fist up in the air when that yellow flag came out because Mark Martin had not yet pitted. Robin Pemberton now putting on front tires, and here's a twist for you. These guys are going to put on used tires, scuffs. Everybody else all day has been using fresh tires. Rusty Wallace also taking on tires up pit road. Jerry Punch, what's happening there?
Well, they had Rusty Wallace's car on the jack. They brought him back in and made sure the load nuts on the right rear tire were completely tight. They had Wallace back in the pit. They just checked in with Leo Jackson in the Harry Gant pit and see what his driver had told him. Apparently, Harry had radioed that he had been tapped in the rear by another car, which he later identified as that of Alan Kowicki. The tied car, Darrell Waltrip getting his service. That car now being serviced. 4 tires. He is out and away. Jeff Hammond and the crew. And Davey Allison continues to have his trouble. He is right around the leader. We might mention the reason Allison has had so much trouble afternoon. They bent the rear end housing in the rear of that Haviland Ford early in the day, and every time they get a chance to come in, put it on jacks here in the pits, and go in and try to straighten out some of the struts that hold the rear end in place. Here is Harry Gant finally getting Old Alf, the nickname for this car, the car that won at Darlington down pit road, and Alf has been shortened considerably in the rear end. The skull hood has been bent upward, and the rear bumper has been pushed down. They are working on the Gant car, trying to pull sheet metal away. Leo Jackson, the car owner, standing there holding 2 small sledgehammers. Andy Peekby, the crew chief, and the rest of the crew, they just absolutely pry the rear tires off the car. As Gant sits in the car very patiently waiting, Charlie Presley will run around to the left side of the car, and they will try, as they can, to get the left rear tire off. Tough break for Harry Gant.
Yeah, Jerry, they're going to have a tough time getting those tires off with that sheet metal bashed up against it the way that they are there.
Here's a replay from Harry Gant's in-car camera, real time.
Ouch. Oh, me, that hurts. Oh.
Wow.
Still running.
Car number 33. Under caution for the 12th time. This Jared, Benny Parsons, Dick Bergman, and Jerry Punch back at North Carolina Motor Speedway. We go down for a report from Jerry Punch.
Well, some of the carnage in the Harry Gant car, I checked with the crew, they have a lot of sheet metal damage, and Harry is just totally heartbroken about this accident up there. He said nothing he could do. He saw Kowicki coming. He's not really sure whether Alan had a problem, a brake failure, or what, but he said Alan just popped him in the rear. Let me show you the tire that came off of the Gant's car. Now, when the rear sheet metal came in, it just opened up this tire here inside. This is not a defective tire by any means. The sheet metal cut the tire and eroded away. You see some of the radial cord in here now. But look inside. The inner liner, where my pin is tapping there, is still inflated. That's what allowed Harry Gant to refire the car and make it around to the pits. This safety factor here, the inner liner, inflated on Gant's car, allowed him to make it back into the pits. And now Harry Gant will come back in and make the hard left-hand turn around behind pit wall. Let's take a look at the replay of the crash as Harry Gant comes in for more service.
Here it is from Harry Gant's in-car camera.
That's Mark Martin in directly in front of Harry Gant. Going down the front straightaway.
Lap down, but he is in front of Mark Martin, so he's not quite a lap down.
Comes out on lap 410. Back to racing we go. Mark Martin is your leader.
Dale Earnhardt is almost 2 laps down, out in front of Rusty Wallace there. He was over a half a lap down when he made his pit stop. He made a long green flag pit stop, so he's almost 2 laps down. Rusty Wallace is in the lead lap, but just barely in the lead lap as a result of his green flag pit stop. Caution coming out just as he was going out of the pit.
Dick Bergman has a report on Mark Martin's tires. Dick?
Well, it's more than just a tire report, Bob. It's exactly what's going on down here. These guys are playing this race differently than anybody else. The 2 cars that pitted in front of Mark Martin took on fresh tires, sticker tires. Waltrip took on sticker tires. These guys have been taking on scuffs all day. Other drivers are radioing back that they can't run on scuff tires. But Mark Martin tried sticker tires only once, and he went backwards. Now, this may be the result of the way they prepared for this race. Yesterday afternoon at about this time, most of the cars were in the garage with blankets over them. Not Mark Martin. They were flogging their car. I mean, they'd go out, they'd run 5 laps, they'd come in, and it was just like a ballet. These guys dancing all around the cars, changing things. Why? They want work here on Harry Gant's Skull Bandit Oldsmobile. They have been jacking the car up and then dropping the car on these big bright yellow jack stands, trying to bend the rear end frame back straight as they can get it. They are now cutting away sheet metal with a chisel here. Meanwhile, Harry Gant still sitting in the car, dejected. He couldn't explain what happened. He said, I just had to sit here and wait. He said, we could have won this thing. Gant now sitting inside the car, the crew working on it. Maybe we can get a quick comment over here with Harry Gant. We'll walk around. He's still sitting inside the car. Harry, can you tell us, do you have any idea what happened?
Alan Quickey just ran to the back of him and got in the corner. He's several laps down. I don't know why.
Well, that pretty well sums it up. They're still trying to get Harry out back on the track.
And a great battle up front for the lead. Mark Martin and Darrell Waltrip, 6 and 17, contest the top spot.
And Mark Martin just a moment ago got together with Sterling Marlin down in turn 1 and almost crashed that Stroh's Light T-Bird.
And here we'll take a look at it.
Took Rusty Wallace a little while to get around Sterling Marlin. Of course, Marlin trying to battle himself back into the lead lap. There, Rusty did get around. Here, Mark Martin comes down on the inside, but they make contact, and you can see both of them go completely sideways. Car number 6 of Mark Martin gets down on the flat spot, but he holds on to it, but lost a lot of ground.
I'll tell you what, that boy just cannot catch a break, can he?
Taking a flat spot those tires.
I don't know if I don't think it's going to hurt the tires, but I mean, he was right behind Rusty Wallace to put him a lap down, and Earnhardt up in front of him. And now I don't think he'll ever catch him before the race is over.
And they're a long way in front of him now. And now there are only 3 cars on the lead lap since Harry Gant has gone behind the wall. Of course, Mark Martin is the leader, and in second place is Darrell Waltrip, and third is Rusty Wallace, and he's about, well, I got the clock on here right now. He is 3 seconds, 3 800ths of a second ahead of Mark Martin right now from being a lap down. So that was a break for Rusty Wallace, and he was able to pull that far out in front of Mark Martin.
4th position is the 25 car there of Ken Schrader.
And now he has gotten back in the lead lap.
So there are now 4 cars in the lead lap.
Yeah, when Mark Martin had that near disaster down there, that did allow Ken Schrader to move back into the lead lap.
Now there's the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt, and again he is 1 lap down and almost 2 laps down. So Earnhardt has suffered some misfortune here just in the last few laps. Running 7th at the moment. Dale, you're still in the hunt for the Winston Cup Championship. Can you still make up the ground that you need?
Well, we can, and we had it made up last week till the last lap. So, you know, we're just working hard to get the car as consistent as we can, try to win the race. We can win that race, and Rusty finished 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. We beat him in the points. We gained some points every race. We'll win it.
Well, right now, he doesn't stand to gain any points on his 2 competitors for the Winston Cup, as he is 7th. Rusty Wallace is 4th, and Mark Martin is the leader of the race.
And Mark Martin now is 4.5 seconds behind Rusty Wallace, so Wallace is pulling away from Mark Martin, even though Mark is leading the race.
There's the leader. Behind him is Ken Schrader and Jeff Bodine, and they are both laps down. And then will come the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip, and he is in 2nd spot. Back with more right after the coverage of that seniors golf tournament, immediately following our coverage of the AC Delco 500 here at Rockingham.
Gotten together. Earnhardt spins around. There they touch again. Oh. Here comes Sterling Marlin in and rams into Earnhardt. That's going to knock Earnhardt.
That
may take him out of the race.
May take him out of the race, indeed. He was really nailed by Sterling Marlin. Rusty was able to get by with a little bit of damage. That remains to be seen, but boy, the rear end of the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet is torn badly. Here comes Earnhardt down. Well, he won't come down pit road. He'll complete the lap, but man, look at the damage to that race car. There is
the rear bumper is completely gone on the car.
I think he was okay until Sterling Marlin came along and hit him.
Here's a replay of what happened in turn number 4. There you can see Dale is sideways, Rusty to the high side.
Well, Rusty was trying to pass Dale Earnhardt, and there you see Sterling Marlin coming in and hit him. They had been badly there as Rusty was trying to get, he was on the inside of him, and they touched as they went into turn 3, and around they went. Of course, Rusty wound up on the high side of the racetrack, but going into the turn, he was on the low side of the track. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Rusty Wallace getting service to his car. Appears to be cosmetically okay. I don't see any damage on the left side of the Kodiak Pontiac as they now come around and have already changed right side tires. Will work on the left side. Jimmy May car has the left front. Dale Earnhardt pitting about 20 feet in front of Rusty Wallace. Literally has the entire rear of the car sheared away. All the noise of the cars leaving the pits behind me, and Earnhardt's car is sitting on pit road. They are looking it over. Heavy damage on the back of the Goodrich Chevrolet. In fact, the area where you fill the gas tank, that entire filler line has been sheared off of the fuel cell. The sheet metal has been pulled away. There stands Cecil Gordon, who is the shop foreman for Richard Childers, as they survey the damage, heavy damage on the Earnhardt car.
Well, they continue to look over a very badly damaged race car from Dale Earnhardt.
Boy, the tough luck he has had for the last, what, 4 races in a row.
Yep. Well, Rusty Wallace was unable to get by Mark Martin, and so there are only 2 cars on the lead lap, and Rusty is a lap down in 3rd. There is Darrell Waltrip, the second-place car.
And they're adjusting the toe in on the automobile, Bob.
Yeah, they said a while ago that, what, 100 laps or so ago, that the toe end was still off. So now they're making an adjustment. They are thinking win.
Yeah, they sure are. They think they're going to make the corrections that will enable him to win this race. Let's go back down to Jerry for this Earnhardt salvage.
Well, they are shearing just pieces and parts away of the rear of the Goodrich Chevrolet. You hear the air chisels. You see them in the background working. Kirk Shelburne in here on the left rear, chiseling away at some of the sheet metal. They're using the 10 snips. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt sits staring straight ahead, very solemnly and stoically in the car. His hands both gripping the steering wheel very tightly as he is helpless to do anything about the car that has been destroyed basically from the rear window backward. Richard Childers, the car owner, in trying to reattach the fuel filler hose. They are going to take some bungee cords and strap down the fuel filler outlet. A championship effort, the 3-time Winston Cup champion may be seeing his championship go up in smoke here, up in tin shear, we should say, as the sheet metal has been reared and pulled away. They are not going to give up this Childers. Darrell Waltrip now back on pit road, an effort there that they have been working all afternoon. Let's go up and check in with Dick Berggren.
Well, the front end of this car has been fed all afternoon since their earlier altercation. Right now, they're trying to get these wheels so they point a little bit toward the front of the car. They've strung it, which means trying to set the toe in squared away, and they're still working underneath it. There's 2 crew members working under the car right now. It's amazing this guy can drive at 140 miles an hour when the front end is damaged and the wheels are...
Cars are getting in position for a restart, and Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin just traded a little bit of paint here at very slow speed up in turn number 1. Now Rusty is at the tail end of the lead lap as we get set to go back to green.
Now he went a lap down when he and Earnhardt had spun up there in turn 4. Mark Martin came around and passed them while they were trying to get to going again, and so that's what has put him a lap down.
And the green flag is out once again on lap 434.
Why did Rusty Wallace dive in behind Mark Martin on that restart?
Beats me unless NASCAR told him to.
Unless NASCAR's told him that he's in the lead lap or something like that.
No, I don't think they would told him that, but maybe he wasn't supposed to be up that far. I don't know.
Huh. That was unusual.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Richard Childress.
Let's get a damage report from Richard Childress. Richard, how bad is the car hurt overall?
Well, the whole back end's gone off of it. We don't have no rear spoilers, so we ain't going to be able to run hard. We're just going to have to try to finish right now.
Did Dale say anything to you about what may have happened up there?
Well, I just told him a lap there to back off and let Rusty go, where they could run. He had run in behind him, and he told one of the other guys that, I guess Rusty got into it or something. He didn't, we didn't elaborate on what happened.
Richard Childress giving the report that they have told Dale Earnhardt to be very, very careful. He has no rear spoiler at all, almost no downforce on the rear of the car. He's going to have his hands full.
Yeah, that's got to be tough to control with the whole back end of the car missing.
Yeah, the spoilers have become such a very important part of the handling characteristics of the race cars today, and he doesn't have one.
Dale Earnhardt's bad luck continues as he tries to win a 4th Winston Cup. 4 races in a row he has had misfortunes. And of course, this is the way it was last week on the last lap at North Wilkesboro, when Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick tried to take away the lead on the last lap of the event. Rudd pulling alongside on the main straightaway into turn number 1. A meeting of the two cars, and both slide to the outside, allowing Jeff Bodine to win. And Dale Earnhardt, because of that little incident, would have been in the points lead had the race ended 1 lap earlier. As it was, he came out 37 points behind in second place going into this event. And now we see Mark Martin continuing to lead. Rusty Wallace is in 3rd position, but he is a lap down.
How many times this year has that Stroh's Light T-Bird been in this position at this stage of the race, running so well?
But I'm not so sure, but this isn't Mark Martin's day.
I wouldn't say that. I ain't going to jinx it.
You know how poor a predictor I am, but I think Mark Martin is in a very good position to win this race.
Oh, there's no question about that. Now, Rusty has been running faster than Mark up to this point. Right now, it doesn't seem to be able to do much with it, but there is a good battle going on for the 5th position between the car number 84 of Dick Trickle and the car number 21 of Neil Bonnet. Now, Trickle has passed Alan Kowicki. Now Bonnet goes by on the outside of Alan Kowicki, but they've really been going at it. The car number 84 of Dick Trickle running in the 5th position. Neil Bonnet running 6th. They are each 1 lap down.
Well, you really got to take your hat off to Neil Bonnet. We said that earlier, but we'll say it again because he is just doing a great job in his first race back from injuries. 50 or more laps to go here at Rockingham. Now the sun begins to become a real problem down there in turn 1. The banking is shaded, but as the drivers go into turn 1, they're looking directly in the sun.
Well, look, Trickle stalking Darrell Walter there. The Miller Buick number 84 running real strong here in the mid stages. Of course, he's run good all day long, just being 1 lap down, but he has not been battling with the leaders that much.
You know, this was Dick Trickle's first Winston Cup race here in the spring, as Mike Alexander had driven this car at Daytona, and then Dick Trickle took over for him, and he finished 13th in that race here in the spring at Rockingham. And he has just had some brilliant moments in the Winston Cup Series in 1989. Kyle Petty, Larry Pearson running together on the racetrack.
Tell you what, our cameras, the glare is so bad in turn 1 now, our cameras barely can see that.
Very difficult to see those numbers. That's Bobby Hillen, of course, on the inside of Ricky Rudd.
Hillen now running in 8th place. He's 2 laps down, but has moved into the top 10 now.
There's Darrell Walter, who is 2nd, behind Mark Martin. There's Ken Schrader, who is up to 4th position, although he too is a lap down.
Charlotte's 94 car, Sterling Marlin, he's back on the Speedway after his problems with hitting the back of Dale Earnhardt's car, and he lost the brakes on his car in that altercation. They had to stop and do something to get brakes on the automobile.
He lost his brakes, and Dale Earnhardt lost 4 laps while he was in, getting the rear end of that car in such a shape that it could go back out on the track. But the damage showing also on that 25 car, Ken Schrader.
It's been a tough race, Bob. It really has been an awfully tough race this afternoon. I don't think there's any cars out there that doesn't have some type of sheet metal damage, either tire marks or they've hit the wall or other cars pretty severely.
Now Rusty Wallace has moved back up on Mark Martin. He's trying to get back in the lead lap.
Let's go down to Dick Berggren, who's with Steve Neal in the 6 car.
Well, Steve, what's the strategy from here?
I guess pray for rain. I don't know. Rusty's awful strong. We've got a lap and, just a little bit on him. If he gets by us and get a caution, it'll be a whale of a race. We're just hoping we can stay out front of him, or if he does get by us, we don't get another caution.
Well, Jerry punches up with Rusty Wallace. What's they going to do up there, Jerry?
Well, actually, I'm with Barry Dotson. I don't quite have the guts to be with Rusty Wallace right now. He's out there about 140 miles an hour. But Barry, the crew chief, talking to Rusty as we go by. Barry, first of all, what did Rusty say about the incident with him and Earnhardt up there? What did he say?
He didn't say, Jerry. I had to ask him what happened. Everything got quiet and everybody stood up. They were racing close. They went into turn 1 here and they were real close. They went in down there, and I think Dale let us by and was going to pull down.
driver just got around him, Barry. He's now back in the lead lap. So Barry Dodson getting...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he just now got around him, so that brings a big smile to Barry Dodson's face. He's been talking to us and not paying attention to what's happening on the racetrack. And now it's all up to Rusty Wallace.
Rusty is back on the lead lap, and now there are 3, and that makes Barry Dodson very happy. With 42 more laps to go in this AC Delco 500. Mark Martin continues to lead. Darrell Waltrip second, and Rusty Wallace now third. Back to North Carolina continues here on ESPN, and here is where the Winston Cup point leaders are running. Wallace, the leader in points, is third on the track. Dale Earnhardt is now 16th because of the crash between himself and Sterling Marlin, and Mark Martin, third in points, is the leader of the race.
Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace passed him just a few laps ago. Rusty can't drive away, but he don't need to drive away. He just needs to stay in front of the 6, and hopefully a caution flag would come out and let him get back up on the back bumper of that blue Ford.
Yeah, that's about his only hope. He doesn't have enough time. There are not enough laps left in the race for him to gain a full lap. So his only hope is for a caution.
And, you know, really and truly, if the race were to finish right now, I think both of them have done their job today. Rusty Wallace has further... His chances for winning the championship has been increased, and Mark Martin finally would get the Winston Cup victory he's been looking for so long.
Plus, he would gain a few points in the championship battle as well.
Car spun down in...
Davey Allison at the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 1. Will it bring out a caution flag? He's going to be able to pull back up on the racetrack, and I don't believe it's going to cause a caution. No, it will not.
Oh, Rusty Wallace could not get a break. Don't you know his spotter was saying, Rusty, we've got it, we've got it. But Rusty, you don't have it.
And so Rusty remains almost a lap down. Rusty Wallace is known for coming back from laps down and winning here at Rockingham.
Last fall, he was incredible. At North Wilkesboro, he was laps down, won the race. In Charlotte, he got a couple of laps down, won the race. And I think here, even here, I think he got laps down and won the race. So he's certainly no stranger to coming back.
When you have a fast race car like he has and a fast pit crew like he has and the kind of a driver that he is, you put all of that together and it'll let you do those kind of things.
Darrell Waltrip in second position. Checking the interval between first and second. Here comes Darrell off of corner number 4, and there he crosses the line. It's 9.4 seconds between first and second. Well, of course, Darrell Waltrip, who began the year with a win at the Daytona 500, can't win the Winston Cup title this year. So what do you think about now? Do you look ahead to 1990 and what might come in that year?
Well, of course, I really have been disappointed the last couple of weeks. Charlotte and Wilkesboro, we had some problems, and it really eliminated us from any hopes of winning the championship. What we need now is to finish on a high note, to win at least one more race, maybe 2, and go into the 1990 season with this team up like it was last year at the end of the year. And if we can do that, I see 1990 as being a cakewalk for us because we got the horsepower, we got the cars, and I got run over.
Davey Allison backed out of his garage and right into Darrell Waltrip. All right, let's check the cars out of race. Charlie Baker, Jerry O'Neill, Dale Jarrett, Morgan Shepherd, Jimmy Bound, Jimmy Spencer have dropped out. Also Jim Sauter, Richard Petty, and Jack Pennington. And Jimmy Means is also shown as out of the AC Delco 500.
Of those 10 cars out of the race here, 4 of them are first name Jimmy.
I didn't notice that.
Tell you what. Folks, if you want to have a child born tomorrow, don't name it Jimmy. It's all right. Well, now that.
Incidental.
Rusty Wallace will pick up the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. He is not the leader, but he will pick up the 5 bonus points for leading the most. There is Alan Kowicki, and he came into this event as the only one eligible for the $190,000 in Unocal bonus money. That will increase to $197,600.
It is going to bring out the caution.
Greg Sachs, number 48, or is it?
Yep.
Yes, the yellow is out. So that's the break that Rusty Wallace has been wanting. Here he comes down to receive the caution flag, and he's going to meet Mark Martin. So he'll be able to encircle nearly the entire racetrack.
Well, don't you know there's jubilation in the Kodiak pits? That's what they needed. They were not going to win this race without a caution flag. And they might not win it anyway, but that was the only chance they had.
Right. Yellow out on lap 450. Martin, Elliott, and others. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
This is the most important pit stop of the day, maybe for Mark Martin, the most important pit stop of his life so far. Robin Pemberton, the crew chief, is on the right front. Jack man, Steve Sparks. Steve Meal is going to be doing the rear tires. Gas man is Bobby Leslie. So far, Rusty Wallace has not yet made an appearance on pit road. Mark Martin almost, there goes Rusty. Just went by Mark Martin now. Jerry, is he up there?
Rusty is indeed in, Dick. The right side tires going on the car with Barry Dotson handling the jack, and as usual, Jimmy Maycar on the right front and John Dotson on the right rear. Left side lug nuts are going to be taken off as Mark Martin goes zipping by. So does Bill Elliott. Jack down, but it's the left side of the car. Kenny Schrader and Darrell Waltrip pass by. Work continues on the Kodiak Pontiac. Now left side tires are on. He's off the jack, and Wallace is down and away.
Out over North Carolina Motor Speedway once again with Mark Martin, the leader. Rusty Wallace was able to pass Darrell Waltrip just after they crossed the line, and Rusty Wallace is now in second.
25 car, Ken Schrader between he and the leader. Mark Martin. Schrader is a lap down to the leader.
Last year there were 4 first-time winners in Winston Cup competition. We have had no first-time winners so far this year. Mark Martin stands a chance of becoming one this afternoon.
Well, Ken Schrader moves over and lets his St. Louis buddy move right by on the inside. So nothing but daylight now between the car number 6 and the car number 27.
The 17 car was second on the restart, but he has a transmission problem. There's something wrong with the car all day long. Darrell Waltrip has not been able to restart like he normally can.
We'll replay the restart and show you that Darrell was slow coming down, but Rusty waited until they crossed the line before he pulled out to pass Darrell.
Well, actually, Bob, he did pass him before they got to the line, but he could do that as long as he passed on the outside. So once the green flag dropped, he could move around it.
So Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, leads this 500-mile race here at Rockingham with now 25 more laps to go.
Mark Martin has a 1 4/10 second lead over Rusty Wallace at the moment.
We ran a feature back earlier today that just said all the things that's happened to Mark Martin this year. Again, he's may win the race, but still, Rusty Wallace, he had him a lap down. It was a tough break. If the caution flag came out, he was able to get the lap back. Rusty Wallace.
Again, we repeat that Rusty Wallace, if he finishes second in these 3 remaining races and leads a lap in 2 of the 3, he will win the Winston Cup Championship, and he's in second place at the moment.
He lost 2/10 of a second that last lap. He slipped a little bit coming off of turn 2. And that hurt him. Mark Martin running a very good line around the racetrack and sensing his first victory. Now Wallace is 1 66/100 of a second behind. So that means about 2/10 of a second farther behind than he was. And he goes around Harry Gant there. That cost him just a little bit of time.
The wounded number 33 Skull Bandit of Harry Gant. Dale Earnhardt is running 16th. He is 4 laps down because of a crash between himself and Sterling Marlin a few laps ago.
Wallace is losing time to Mark Martin. Martin is pulling away.
I thought maybe he would be, because Ken Schrader, once Rusty Wallace got by him, he stayed on the back bumper of Wallace, and he hasn't been able to do that any today at all.
Coming down to complete lap 479.
And this is a 492 lap race, not a 500 lap race, so that's only 13 more laps to go.
13 more laps to go, and there is the Jack Roush Stroh's Light pit crew. They are saying, oh boy, I wish this thing were over.
I don't know how our cameraman got in there, because I've never seen so many people in the pit area. Look down there, Bob. There must be 100 people down there in that pit area.
Is Mark Martin going to win his first Winston Cup race? Well, no, in 12 more laps. 5 times he has finished second this year. And there is the crowded pit area. There are a lot of smiles down there at the moment. Will there be?
But look here behind all these. Look at all these people in the opening there. People love a winner, don't they, Ned?
Oh, yeah. Boy, they're saying a lot of prayers, too. You see a lot of smiles down there. I'll guarantee you there's a lot of praying going on there right now, too.
He was second at Dover. He was second at Watkins Glen. He was second at Darlington. He was second at Dover in the fall, and he was second last weekend at North Wilkesboro.
10 laps to go. Harold Kinder signals Mark Martin as he goes by. 10 laps to go.
2 and 6. Back in the picture here, Darrell Waltrip running for third position.
Let's go to Dick Berggren, who is with Rick Hendrick.
Well, Rick, a lot of cars are passing Darrell out there. Is he letting them by in order to preserve the car for the finish?
No, you know, after that wreck, it knocked the front end out on the car, and he was racing without third gear on the restart, so they've had a battle all day just to stay up in the top 5.
You got to be proud of those guys for their tenacity, though.
Outstanding job, and then to win the Pit Crew Championship yesterday, I'm real proud of him.
He's a proud car owner, Rick Hendrick, watching his number 17, driven by Darrell Waltrip.
Currently running in third position here at Rockingham. Waltrip fourth in the Winston Cup points. Now we're giving you the interval between second and third position. There's Rusty Wallace moving into turn number 1.
Wallace, he won't be a problem for Rusty to get by, but there's Mark Martin. Still a lot of real estate between Martin and Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, he's still about 2.5 seconds ahead.
There are 6 more laps to go.
I wonder what religion Mark Martin is. He's talking to whoever what religion he is. He's talking to him right now. Please. Let this thing hang together. Harold's going to tell him this time 5 laps.
His car owner, Jack Roush, for many years associated with Ford, Trans Am champions, into Winston Cup racing, and is close to winning his first Winston Cup race.
Folks, I hope we are going to see the happiest man in the United States if he's able to pull this off.
Bill Elliott had 8 second-place finishes before he won his first Winston Cup. Mark Martin has 6 career second-place finishes, including 5 in 1989. The car continues to run flawlessly. Mark Martin brings it off of corner number 4, and there are 3 more laps to go. 3 miles.
There's Jack
before
Roush.
Jack Roush and his driver Mark Martin will celebrate a victory here at Rockingham. So many disappointments. I think the one I remember most, probably Daytona, when they had things well in hand and ran out of fuel several laps from the finish.
Jack Roush took the blame for that. He was calling the shot.
Lap 490 completed. 2 to go. There's Arlene Martin.
And they're going to Hawaii. Arlene, you finally get a honeymoon after 5 years.
They're going to have some spending money, it would appear, to take on that trip to Hawaii. Now less than 1.5 laps to go for Mark Martin. Martin receives the white flag. There is one more lap to go. One more tour of the 1.017-mile oval at Rockingham, North Carolina. And Mark Martin, third.
You know, we tried for 2 years to get a car that Mark would like, you know, and he didn't much like the engines a good bit of the time either. I guess we hit on it today. He did a super job. He's been ready to win a lot of these races. We just didn't have it right for him. Now, hats off to Mark. The beginning of a lot of these. The beginning of a lot of these victories. Well, we expect that once we get through the door, we'll just knock it down. We're going to try to get Robin Pemberton here, the crew chief. Robin, there are people here from all sorts of teams congratulating these guys. The first one up here was from Rusty Wallace' team. Here's Jeff Hammond hugging Robin Pemberton. Robin, he just wants to get to his driver. He doesn't want to talk to us. Robin, how do you do this?
Well, I'm about speechless. I'm afraid my wife and my kids aren't here, and they're my biggest supporters. I tell you what, Lisa, Ray, Briggs, we're going to have a good time.
It's a big day for Mark Martin's team.
Mark Martin ends the long streak of second-place finishes and comes home a winner today. Finished 5th. Neil Bonnet, Jeff Bodine, this afternoon, Irvin, Earnhardt, Waltrip, Sachs, and Bodine. A happy victory lane that we go to now for our interview, being brought to you by the Die Hard Battery, now with more power.
You know, this team is built from nowhere 2 years ago. You got to realize